remote, log the video and.
We are.
Still video.
Yep. Yep. Oh, shoot. Speaking of that, thanks for reminding me. Probably should put that on Facebook.
Oh, yeah, that could be.
If I can figure out how to do this.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Megan Lawrence.
Hi, Megan.
Hey.
Jameson,
Yes.
Wes said he might be a little late. He has to go to another council meeting.
Okay.
That's you hitting all those buttons. We started yesterday and still.
All right, I got 6:30. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Roll call. Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken. All right, in front of you, you have the agenda, item number 3, approval of agenda. Are there any subtractions, corrections that need to be made, any movements?
I move that item 6B through H be moved after item 8, since there are no staff here. There's no reason to have it at the beginning of the agenda.
Second.
That's a motion made by Steve, second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Steve.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 4, presentation of the Betterment Award. Kathy, you have received the Maxwell Betterment Award.
You have to stand up.
Yes. Now, or somebody want to take my picture so I can
Yeah.
post this? Thank you for your years of commitment to our city. We really appreciate you. And this is for you.
Thank you.
Over here too. Shake hands again.
Turn around. Do it
How's this
again.
work?
2 copies, just in case.
Perfect.
Good thing you got a haircut,
I know.
so you could perform for that. Thank you. That's
Yes.
very nice of you.
We appreciate everything you
Thank
do.
you.
and-
Okay.
It's very nice of you to be so active.
Yes.
I love it. So thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Have a good
We'll talk
meeting.
soon.
Okay.
Since Wes is here, why don't we go ahead and pull the engineers items and staff report back up front.
Perfect.
We just moved it to the end of the agenda since you weren't here.
Put me wherever you want me.
You're up.
All right.
Oh, no, after
We
the
got
sheriff.
After
Sure.
And then we got citizens forum first.
Oh, yeah.
So at this time, it is citizens forum. Are there any citizens want to discuss that is not currently on the agenda? Okay, departmental reports. Sheriff Department, what do you got for us?
I don't really have anything this month for you guys. Nothing exciting.
You cut our guy.
We did.
last month.
Yes, you
Yep.
did.
yes, thank goodness for that. Nothing else since then, so I think that's pretty much come to an end.
I think I had somebody ask me a while ago, has there been any updates on the break-ins that we had this past, was that summer?
Summer.
We had, Rock Creek had a few break-ins and breaking into people's vehicles. I think there were some firearms that were
that's right.
stolen.
I guess I'm not aware of any. I can go and look and see if there was any resolution, but I haven't heard of anything. I guess I'm not aware of. That was how long ago you said?
This past summer.
Was it late summer? Early
Summer and fall.
Yeah, because it was after the
Yeah.
White Sox Yankees game. Because there was,
Oh, good, Mayor.
I can tell you that.
Everything hinges around that.
Yeah.
And it had, I think there was, Collins got hit.
Was it all in one night and everyone kind of caught it on the Ring doorbell?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking
Yes.
about?
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
I guess I'm not aware of those. I would have been about. I think I probably would have been at the academy, but at that point, so I don't know.
Okay.
But I can do some digging and see if there was anything. I'm not aware of any break-ins recently either, so it might be one of those that.
Came through and now they're gone.
Yeah.
For
That
sure.
was kind of while we're up in the north side of the county area having vehicle break-ins.
Yeah.
And that ended up being a large area matter, and that just stopped too.
Okay.
So
It'd be nice to get a report on it since there were images from doorbells that may not have been terribly usable,
Mhm.
but at least getting a report back so that
if somebody is
we
found,
can close the loop.
And I
Sure.
can, while you're here, I think I can look at the date because I think I sent some camera footage out.
I guess while you're looking into things, I probably don't have an answer, but any connection between the Casey's fire and the fires we had out southwest of town, was that southwest?
the ones out on at the farm,
Farm
within the
ones.
same mile. What was that? 640 somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know that there's any connection to those.
okay.
That. Yeah, no, I don't think there was any
Okay.
connection to that.
Okay.
To the Casey's and the Maxwell School fire. So
Yep.
those three were connected.
Okay.
That was all the same individual.
Yes.
He's charged for all three of those, but as far as the ones outside of town, I don't believe that they're related.
I'm looking, I'm getting close. Look at that. There it is. It would have been mid-August.
Of 21.
Looks like probably August 18th. Videos were shared on the 19th.
Okay, I would have been off on paternity leave at that time, so I was August 18th, 21. Yeah, I'll do some digging and see if there was anything that came
Perfect.
to fruition.
Okay.
So other than that, nothing else
Perfect.
to be mentioned, I guess. From on my end, is there any other concerns that you guys have had brought to your attention?
Speeding cars.
Speeding cars.
Speeding cars.
Yep.
Thought maybe the inverted speed bumps on all of them would stop people, but
Yeah, they do.
no.
No reason not to get it fixed.
That's right.
They would be going 80 mile an hour through.
Well, I did tell the cops about that. We only put cold patch until when we can see China.
Yeah.
That's when it's the cold patch.
Yeah.
Or the tops of the cars.
You start seeing magma come up from
That's
the
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, perfect. If there's nothing else for the sheriffs, we will move on. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Okay,
you.
guys.
Thanks, Officer.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Wes. You're up.
All right. So a little party on my memo here. I'll give one to you with your packet there.
Got it.
Well, you got it. Excellent. fairly light this week, this month, not a lot of new stuff going on. Baldwin Street, we're still waiting to hear back from the SDBG grant program on any kind of determination. Last we checked, they said they'd received it, they were reviewing them, and they would let us know. So we don't know yet on that one.
And that's a potential 300,000.
No, that one's potentially, well, I forget the cap on that. That one's close to 300,000. It's an assistance for the street. Surface transportation is the STBG for that one. So that's assistance for the street. The 300,000 potential for CDBG would be for the water main replacement that we haven't pulled the trigger on yet. And if you want us to prepare a scope to do that kind of work, to pursue that, we can, or we can kind of wait and see what happens with the STBG and see. The big reason to maybe wait to see what the STBG is, the STBG has the same funding requirements or very similar funding requirements as the CDBG when it comes, not necessarily the LMI, but the environmental impact, that kind of work. So if we're going to be doing that for the STBG anyway, you're already doing a lot of the legwork for the CDBG. It's not that much more to go ahead and apply and do the water main if that's what you want to do. It looks to be like we can get it for, get that included for, if 300,000 match, if we can, I think we figured there was 400,000 for sure in the water main, 400 or 500, I think, for sure in the water main itself. And if they allow us to do some of the road reconstruction is eligible, which they should, because if you do water main by itself, you have to replace some of the road. We probably could get to that 600,000 where the city is already spending 600,000 or spending 300,000 to get 300,000 match. So you're maximizing what you're gonna get from that. But so unless you're got it on your schedule to get going this year, we've got some time on that. A little bit of time. I don't want to hold off too long because if you do want to do CDBG, we need to get the procurement out for the grant administrator, Simmering Corey or whoever equal to do the CDBG grant administration.
I would like to see bid an award for work next spring.
Okay, that's doable with whatever option we take, but we don't want to hold off too long on pulling that trigger on the water.
Right.
But I think we should know the SDBG determination in time to do either option, any option. So we'll continue to monitor that one and let you know what we hear on the surface transportation grant. Make a note here. Wastewater treatment plant improvements, we've got that elsewhere on the agenda. We've recommended project acceptance with some caveats that I'll talk about under that bid item, or that bid item, that agenda item. Sorry, you can tell what I've been doing today, bid projects. I don't have any information on the Rocky Ridge or Rolling Hills Mobile Home Park. You may have some on the Rock Creek Ridge.
You may be getting some stuff here shortly.
Okay.
On that, so.
Sure. Yep. And then the Woodlawn Stormwater Study, we got the draft for you here tonight. We can discuss it under a separate bid or separate agenda item. Man, I keep saying that. In the heart of Iowa, Arch Bridge, erosion. Man, I've been hurrying today. Bounced around so many things today.
That's okay.
We've got it on another agenda item as well. So we'll talk about that under that a little bit more. So like I said, not a lot there. I talked more than I need to on that one, but.
Anything from council to Wes? Hearing none, we will move on to item 7A. This is a public hearing for the first reading of an ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Maxwell, Iowa pertaining to water service rates, sewer service rates, and solid waste collection fees. Is there a motion to open up the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion made by Steve. Second by Lauren. Discussion? Hearing none. Lauren?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
The public hearing for the first reading of an ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Maxwell, Iowa pertaining to water service rates, sewer service rates, and solid waste collection fees is now open. Is there any public comment on this ordinance?
I'd just like to state that these rates are a direct result of the budget that we just completed, meeting the state obligation for borrowing the money that we did for the wastewater treatment plant, and covering the expenses for our new solid waste collection service. Other than that, everything has been kept to a minimum.
Any other public comment?
Move to close the hearing.
Motion by Doug to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Steve. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan?
Yes.
Doug?
Yep.
Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yep.
Is there a motion to,
I move that we approve the first reading of the ordinance, second reading to be next month, at which time we could waive the third, but these rates would be in effect for the January collection of bills.
Not in July?
Yeah, July.
July.
The other January.
yeah, perfect, our January as a city.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a motion by Steve to approve the first reading of the ordinance and have the second reading at our next regular meeting. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Megan. Discussion. Hearing
We can't.
none.
Time out. We can't waive the second, third tonight, Steve?
No.
Okay.
It was published normally. Once we have the second reading, we could waive the third.
Don't want to do that with rates.
No,
You don't?
no, because you want to give the public as much
Another
time.
month, okay, okay.
And we have enough time, even if we needed to do a third reading, we would still have enough time.
Just the publication costs and the time to do all that.
Yes.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Megan? Perfect. All right. Item 8A, discussion action on GIS service with waste and our water and sewer. Falling into Wes's.
Sorry.
All right. Is this the Silversmith data? Perfect. You're up.
I'm Kevin Gardner with Silversmith, yeah. Silversmith's been around about 30 years now. They started out in the gas industry, then moved into the municipal markets, where they designed a software package for asset management and GIS mapping. Thanks, Wes.
Sorry. Told you.
Would you give a copy to Wes also?
I'll take one. I've got some too.
These are
I've met him at conferences. So.
what we do is we go into the municipal, rather than us doing the marking for your assets, such as hydrants, valves, curb boxes. We go in and we will do the marking. Then from there, you can use the tablet, which will be able to map it right there on the spot. So basically what you would just simply do, if I can get rid of it. So to do that part of it, we just go to this geo setting here. And then this would bring up your coordinates. Once you have less than 10 foot in the coordinates, these two boxes basically here, we're just going to go to the find. And when the finder comes up, Now when the finder comes up, right over here is where your coordinates will be found. You're just gonna get the GPS. Once you hit GPS, you would hit send. It's all live. Then from there, your assets are gonna come up. That's the GPS part. Now here I've got the hydrants all pulled up for you. Off to the right here. You see all the assets. Basically, we have everything from streets, water mains, wastewater, manholes, storm sewer, your hydrants, valves. You can do streets, arbitrary work stuff such as the Act 4 now. You know, if you guys have an ordinance there, if that's included. We also have nuisance properties in there. We have trip hazards in there, such as that sidewalk.
To do gas and electric as well.
Gas, no.
Okay.
There's some minor things with gas, but not detailed.
Okay.
Electric, we're not real detailed in the electric part of it. You guys are Mid-American, right? Alliant, okay. So, but we're not real big into it yet. My background is I sold the Stanley handheld hydraulic tools, wax valve operators. So I dealt with the electric, water, and wastewater.
Okay.
And then streets and public works.
Okay.
I started with them in October, and we are putting a good share of stuff in there. Sure. But those are your layers right here. Okay, if you notice, all the hydrants on the outside have got color codes.
Mm-hmm.
This goes with almost all the assets in which you have maintenance. Red means that it's out of service. Yellow, there's some type of service that needs to be done. Green is good to go. So we can push on the hydrant. We hit the maintenance view up here, and now it brings up the maintenance view, which is your detailed information about the hydrant, such as location, what number it would be, this type of stuff. We go on down here where we have a timestamp and notes area, and a place where you can take pictures, and you can take pictures right from the tablet and upload it. You can also upload files and other files in this here. This is all time stamped here, so it tells you who and what time it was done. The pictures are unlimited capabilities, so you can use the pictures as well for doing your locates. So you got, your GPS, it's on the map. You can have a visual so you can see where it's at. So we had some people that, wasn't always right on GPS. They wanted an idea where it was at. Then from there, you're going to get into your different views, what I call the worksheet part of it. Now you're going to notice most of these are all got just drop downs. You just tap on the drop down and bring it on up. Rather than have to type something in. So when your workers are out doing the work, they're not trying to fumble and type a bunch of stuff in. Here's where you find where you marked it out of service. See the red line? So that'd be the area where you find all that. And then we go down to the bottom of it. This is where you find the flow test, your static and residual, and your flow. Okay. Once you complete your worksheet, you hit the update at the bottom here, and everything's locked in. At that point in time, anybody's on the system, whether she's up here and we're doing curb boxes, doing shut off, for instance, okay? She can send out a worksheet to have this done. Tony can send it back in, and there's no shuffling of paperwork, phone calls, anything like that. That way you have the actual records of when it was done. Anybody have any questions yet?
What's the price?
You got that too, wasn't you?
That's
I think it's on page,
in the document,
in the
In
document.
the document.
3,000.
Well, I think,
$1,000 a year and 3,600.
I think the upfront is 6,200.
6,200, yes, up front, which includes your setup fees. We're gonna cover the setup fees, which means anything this gentleman would have and anything you all would have, we can get in a shape file, we can upload, and that's at no charge.
Is there only
Yes,
one
there's a
tablet?
charge.
Yeah, well, there's a charge because of the setup, but there's no additional charges to bring it on in, pardon me?
One tablet?
Yes, the price includes one tablet and one book.
Does it come with any training, or is Tony pretty up to date on how to do this? You will train,
I will come in and train.
and it includes, that
That's
cost
included.
includes.
That's no cost to you.
What other towns around have instituted this?
Collins, Leon, Murray, and then the rest of them pretty much up in Northwest Iowa. We've got about 12 of them up in Northwest Iowa. Ruthven, rest of them. Pearson, Sioux City. So,
What is the accuracy of the GPS?
the geo on this is 4 foot. It's semi. You can get it pretty close to right on, but if you have some interference and stuff, it's going to throw it off. There is an edit mode as well on this, so that if you are off, you can hit the edit and you can pull it in by looking at your map.
So if you look at an aerial, you can move it to the correct location.
So what's that read right in there?
And we could use this for cemetery mapping as well.
Yes. I brought that separate. That's that on this on my computer.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But I might be able to do it.
Did we just pay for some cemetery program?
We already have GIS, and this would integrate in with GIS.
Recently we did that though,
Last year, 2 years ago.
right? In Allen?
Just in the last year.
Last year.
Within the last year. How is that going, Deb?
I haven't had a chance to really play with it. I've done some stuff on it.
So we don't have the records converted yet?
Oh yeah, all the records are on there.
Okay.
So basically, again, you would hit the icons. This is going to come up. This is the information sheet here.
Kevin, besides, who is your competition? Who else does things like this?
Ezra, Sam's, and Ziptility,
Okay.
basically.
And Wes, have you worked with them before?
I've not worked with Kevin Silversmith. I'm familiar with him from conferences and things.
How does Tony feel about all this? Is this something he would be interested in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds like he's been bugging you for it.
Yes.
Here's my thought
He said Cambridge is thinking about it too.
too.
Along with, that's all right now. Huxley is looked at it, but they already have Sam.
If the council is thinking about this, I would suggest thinking about it after July 1, for next year. With the potential development coming in, it is my understanding that these folks aren't asking for the new development folks aren't asking for money up front. It'd be for the TIF rebate that would be paid. They would just get the TIF money, not the LMI associated with that as well. So we would have lost money that is not being used that we were originally planning for the development, that I would assume that this would be a community betterment item.
The ARPA and rescue funds just as qualifying.
It does,
Yes.
because of the hydrant locator.
Well, that your means. Okay.
And does that allow you to type in your GPM on there for the hydrants?
For the hydrants, yes, that's down at
Okay.
the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do other towns utilize that emergency, the emergency fire hydrant aspect of that? Do they keep the tablet on their truck or take it with them when they go to fire so they know exactly, okay?
Okay. What you can do is, most of, in your case, I'm sure you're volunteer. Okay. You send it to the station over here.
Okay.
It can be set up so they can't do anything, they're just a user, okay? And it will show them what hydrants are out of service, specifically with the red, okay? And that's really the only training they have to
Gotcha.
have.
They access it through a web page.
We are hosting everything. That's
Okay.
part of the reason why you have a reoccurrence on it. So we are responsible for your data, and it goes through several different deals and then into a safety deposit on the backside. So we're securing all the information.
So you guys
But
host the
it's
security.
being accessed through a browser interface or some app
Yes.
on a computer, so that if the firemen have,
They have their phone. They can
if they have an
access it.
app on their phone,
Yep.
then they can get it en route.
Yep.
Or both clerks here can get access to it.
Anybody can get access, okay? We can go to desktop, we can go to phones, we can go to tablets. Anything that's got web browser on it, you can pull it.
There's no license limit or any sort of,
We do not cap it. It's unlimited users, unlimited administrators.
that's pretty
You
big
got
deal.
one primary administrator who's in charge of setting it up, dishing out the passwords.
Okay.
And the rest is secured by us.
Now, is there a location lockdown? Because my concern is the fire radius for the city of Maxwell is, I believe, 70 square miles. And a lot of that is rural area. And so we have some rural fire hydrants out there. Can we utilize that for this as well? So you're not locked down into
You're
a
not
certain
locked down.
geological location.
So I've got Glenwood, which takes care of Pacific Junction. Okay, so we're gonna get 15 miles away.
No problem.
There's no problem. You know, the biggest thing is what service works in that area.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. We supply that recurrence fees also include unlimited minutes, $600 a year. And it's with AT&T or Verizon.
And we would probably want to go with Verizon because AT&T, we don't get
Yes, right here.
service out here.
Wes, a couple years ago, when we did the urban revitalization plan, we had you do water lines, hydrants, sewer lines, manholes, and we have maps for those now. I presume that all those maps were done in shapefiles.
Yes.
And were they done to a level of accuracy that it would be worth importing? Or
Yes and
are
no.
we doing it all over again?
No, yes and no. So Our sanitary sewer system, we have in there to a very high level of accuracy. So the sanitary sewer data, the manholes, lines is, and you said you can import all that
We
stuff
can, yeah,
right
as long as we have a
into the
sheet
system.
file,
So we have,
you just send it to
Yep.
engineering. And, I mean, that's the quickest
Yeah.
way, is from your
Yeah.
engineering to our
Yeah.
engineering.
yep, and so that's good data. The question I had with you on that one is, you know, with just a bare bones GIS system like Esri system or whatever, ArcMap, there's customizable to your fields. Are the fields in the database with the AST customizable? Like if we wanted to add in the color of the manhole lid to the field, is that doable, or is it?
We'll do that.
So
We'll do that.
you can do it, but it's
It's doable.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Those are great questions. Anything like what he's talking about there, or changing the fields on here. Down at the bottom on the right-hand corner, we have direct access to a software engineer, live chat.
Okay.
So if you want to change something, that's
Sure. So, because I know with the GIS map that we put together for the sewer, we had, I think, a field in there for year inspected and condition and things like that. So that's all stuff that we can get incorporated into
we
the
can
database.
incorporate it right into that.
Okay.
Those fields over on the left over here.
Yep.
Okay, and
You'll be able to suck it in without having to re-enter.
Good. That's good to know.
I think too, the other positive, so it almost sounds like every department would be able to use this and access it, including us as council, because you brought up nuisance properties, in which case I know that's a big hot topic right now. And I'm wondering if us council people got it on our phones, we'd be able to pull up the map and say, okay, this has already been labeled as a nuisance property. We can move forward with the next step
Yep.
for that.
That's why I was asking based on how many licenses we could have, because that's.
yeah, there's
That's
no,
big.
That's huge.
You can't edit that, but you could access it and view it.
Access
right,
Yep.
Now, back to what we were talking about, the water system. Water system data that we have is just based off of my input of what we had on the hard copy.
So you
Not
haven't,
accurate at all.
you haven't done GPS on the
We have done no field data acquisition for the hydrants and water system. We talked about doing it years ago. There wasn't a lot of benefit at the time. We were able to do enough of the planning mapping with what we had in the system. So we have a real rough, there's a hydrant on this corner kind of thing, but I think
it's within 10 feet probably.
some of them kind of showed up like in people's
I will
yards.
say,
I don't know that I would say
on
that.
that point, that would be a great learning opportunity for the fire department. Since
Well-
Tony is the chief, we could take that out and we could go to each hydrant. We could test to see flow levels and all that stuff to make sure that
Well,
indeed
That and just collecting of the data. So one of the things we ran into with that is finding of the yard stops. So at that time, and this is several years ago, it was going to be us collecting survey data, converting it into the GIS system. The question came, all right, we need to have enough of the features, curb stops, hydrants, valves located that makes it worth our time so we're not doing a nickel and dime here and wasting travel time and all that to get a chunk of it. Something where the city can do the data collection. Tony, you can phase it when Tony's got downtime. Tony has downtime, right? Ted?
about 5 days a week.
Yeah.
If he's going out to,
If he's going out to
replace
flush-
a curb stop.
Yeah, you collect it as you go. You could do it one at a time. Add fill your database. Try not to sell I don't mean to sell your stuff, Kevin, but
He's doing great.
but there is it is a real benefit that you can do it at your leisure to collect that data. There's no push to get it as much in, or to get a lot of it in all at once, and you can
And the other
just fill it
thing
in as you go.
is on the same topic as the hydrants, when they're out there doing their flushing program, he could be out there entering all the information.
There's some benefits there.
And they could, when they input that and say, okay, we're at the corner of Main and Fifth, flushing a hydrant. As soon as they input that, they would get notification that has
Well,
been updated.
she won't get a notification, but it will be live as soon as he hits it. As soon as Tony would hit update, it would be live, and she could bring it up on the in-house.
So that could be a field they could record in the system is when it was last flushed.
Right.
Is that is the database searchable? Like, could you go in and go, all right, I want to see all the hydrants that we haven't flushed for over a year?
2 ways to do that.
Okay.
We have a records program. So you get your reports right there, plus your dynamics at the bottom.
Mhm.
Okay. So you can go in and do specific time to time, or day to day, or month to month, whatever you want in the dynamic part of it.
Okay.
That's what you're wanting to know?
Yeah, basically a data query.
Yeah,
We
that's
want
what
to
that
find
is.
that, or we want to find all the manholes that are 20 feet deep or paint color or whatever. You're
As
able-
long as you put that specific information into the,
Yep, as long as
into the
there's a field
report.
for that, you
Yep.
can search that to
yep,
find
so your
information.
fields that you would find would be,
Okay.
well, that's why. I'm in the wrong one.
Would this save us money for certain locate services then as well?
This would allow you to do your locates when you get the run calls, I believe, because you would be able to, if someone needs to know where their curb stop is and you've got it in the system, you'd be able to, I believe, go out, because is this a real-time readout for
Yep.
location where you're at? So you could walk and
You
get
walk
close to where
Yeah,
it's showing.
we just added that feature.
Okay.
That you can, where you actually go and walk back to it. So once they get out of the truck, they pick up the satellites, they plug in where they're at, and then they'll be able to walk to that curb stop or that hydrant or
Mhm.
that main valve.
What's the savings there? I'm missing what the savings are.
I don't know that you don't pay like USGI to do your water and
No.
sewer stuff, do you?
It's all, I think it's all 811 that does all of our locates anyway.
For the franchise
Oh.
utilities, but when someone does the 811, you get the one call locate request for water and for sewer. Does Tony just go do his best on that, Deb, or?
Yes.
Does for the water, obviously there's the above ground features. The water line doesn't always follow where those features are at, right? Is there a
There's actually an edit program. So
okay?
if we have accurate lines, mains to go off of,
Mm-hmm.
they can pull it into it.
Okay.
So if they're going, into an intersection and you've got a storm sewer in that you're going over and then angling back over and then into the main.
So it has both the location data for the features and also the line data for the actual lines.
Yeah.
So then yes, if it has that feature, then you'd be able to track it.
Once
to a certain
we
extent.
knew it.
Once you knew it, yeah. It's always once you know it.
But you gotta find it first.
Yeah, you gotta have a coordinates on it.
But again, that's building your data.
If we start discussing this in July, from start to finish or build out phase, I guess, whatever,
Mhm.
however, how fast can you get Tony? What's the length of time that Tony is able to get live? Is it 2 months to set up, 3 months to set up? Is it not at all?
3 weeks.
Okay.
To a month, I would say.
I was gonna say, we started talking about it July and it went live September.
I'm a month out on Tama and Ringo. Sioux City, we were a couple months out, but they had time. Size-wise. But bring it down to here, we were able to do it in a month, and that was with 2 key engineers on vacation
Okay.
out. So
Is this something, say, at our next regular meeting, we decide, okay, we want to do this. If we sign the contract, is this something that we could get billed for in July instead of right away?
We'd ask for delivery in July.
delivery in July.
And so there'd be no payment until delivery, right?
Basically, all we do is just push out the paperwork.
Yep.
I mean, everything will be signed and just get pushed out.
And if we're serious about this, probably should get a couple competitive bids as well.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I was asking for, really, because I don't know, what's, Beacon or some other
Beacon
service do
Snyder,
they have?
that's
Property lines.
property line.
Just okay, property line. Okay.
Is the data proprietary to AST, or Steve mentioned we made a urban revitalization plan where we had to do some concept planning for improvements and things like that. Is that data stuff that we could take and put into another GIS exhibit shapefile to use for that planning mapping?
They own the data, so the answer is yes.
Okay, all right. So it's back convertible or
Yep.
from the AST system into a GIS normal that we could use for planning mapping. Okay.
Yep.
The back end engine on that is that Esri also.
No.
So it's
We're using Google Maps to
okay.
build our layer. The rest of it we do all in-house.
And so it's all proprietary software, but it's open source in that you can import and export to
Well, we've done that.
Esri or whatever.
We've done that because you own the data. Okay.
Mhm, sure.
That's,
So we can get a shapefile out of it that we can use in Esri or wherever else.
okay, just go to engineering and say, I need this. And what's the reasoning? They approve it, you have it.
Okay.
Just basically like the same thing.
The reverse of what we would do for the sanitary data to get in
Right.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, the $6,000 is not a lot of money. But
I'll take a check on any time.
In comparable to our budget.
well, compared to a lot of other software that we own.
Everything, and remember, you're also buying the GPS.
The
and
physical,
and
the physical tablet, yes.
And that's purchased, so they own it.
They own it. Yep.
What's an additional charge for, say, if we want another tablet?
Android is $400.
So just
Just the tablet's $400. This is your expensive baby right here.
yeah.
So as far as we all know that technology has a lifespan. As far as those tablets being upgraded, do you let us know, okay, it's time to update your, no?
You can upgrade them pretty much whenever.
So it's an Android operating system
We can do Apple or Android. Okay.
and the GPS just plugs into it. You through a standard
Bluetooth.
port.
You just
Bluetooth, okay.
Bluetooth in between the tablet and the marker. That's all we're doing.
Does the city utilize IT, like networks or anything like that?
We used to use Mead computing,
Okay.
I think. But I don't think we've had them.
The last time we had somebody, we had need come in.
So if something happened to the actual
Screen or something.
tablet or something like that, that's not something they're going to be able to help us with. I didn't know if that was going to be
That's something.
just a normal expense. I'm sure.
Normal tablet,
Normal
$400
tablet,
tablet.
There's nothing fancy about it. It's other than the fact that we set it up for you.
Yeah.
So
But I think the big thing is it's a cellular based tablet. So if we ever got around to fix that, might be beneficial to
Mhm.
probably go through them because they already have the.
I just wanted somebody, Tony, to be able to call somebody.
Yes.
If those guys can't help, I don't want Tony stuck, and they're
Best
not gonna
Buy.
call me. I can promise you that.
Would it be worth doing a proof of concept where you take the sewer lines and suck it in and suck it back out?
Oh, I mean, we could, but I think, in my experience, if it's GIS compatible with Esri shape files, I've not had any issues with. We pull those shape files into like water modeling software and stormwater software all the time, and generally, most Esri's a pretty big behemoth in the
Yeah.
industry, so.
We pull Esri and Ziptel every day.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we have some pretty big projects coming up that we could really utilize this, or at least input a lot of data in, especially when we're talking about
Redoing the
Lawn.
water lines on Baldwin,
And Baldwin.
doing, water lawn street, so.
and while you're on the water mains, the other thing you can put in there is the breaks that you know where they're at. You can edit it, put it in, and now you can send it off to over here
And we can track those,
Track
and
it.
if, oh, geez, we fixed 10 breaks in this line in the last year, maybe we should think about doing something.
it's,
Well, 10 breaks in the line in the last 15 years, maybe we should be doing.
Well, yeah. There's certainly a threshold, but yeah, useful.
I like its efficiency.
even if you got 10 in a certain period, in a certain
Something
length
to
of time,
Yeah.
stretch there, you
the
can,
cost is, and
I
maybe
got once
there
they
might
got
be a
four
grant out there somewhere. I mean,
less
there's
than
a lot of
150 feet.
It may be like,
Time to go.
I don't know, DNR or EPA or somebody might have a grant.
Doug would like to, have some comparables.
Mhm.
What would be a comparable that we could bring to the next meeting?
I think you mentioned Sam has similar systems. Deb, who did the cemetery software?
That was just Summit.
Summit. Okay, yeah, that was through the billing software. Okay. Sam is the only one that I'm familiar with. Ziptilli, I'm not familiar with.
So there'd be a 62 upfront, and every year it'd be 1,600 plus 1,000,
No, just
No.
a thousand.
just
about
1,000.
Well, no, do 1,600, your 1,000,
And a recurring fee for software data package, 1,600 each year.
1,600, yeah. Because you get the 600 for the minutes,
each year.
Yeah, I think
unlimited
it was-
minutes, and $1,000 for the return fee.
So 16 total.
So it's 16
Each
total.
year.
$1,000 is your recurrence fee, 600 for the minutes.
And we could take that out of, you said, emergency, water, sewer.
The initial purchase, yeah.
Yeah.
The $1,600 would just be an ongoing operation and maintenance, so
Right.
that would come out of the budget.
So we want to split that cost up. I mean, maybe
It would be split, I think it would be split, probably 4 ways: roads, general, water and sewer.
Okay.
So $400 in each.
And how long is this quote good for?
We
A
said-
month.
Yeah, it's 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah, but you got the new pricing, so I don't see it going up.
Or,
Hopefully not by July.
I think we'll act on it at the next meeting, one way or the other.
which will be less than a month, because our next meeting will be on the 2nd, so.
So how do we contact Sam's?
If you want to pursue.
I know where they are. There's one down in Ankeny. and there's one down in Ankeny.
I've got a membership though.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I use my
We can
card?
contact them too. They might not be as responsive. I've got a contact information for Sam. I know if you want to pursue the information on them. So
I think we should.
If would you make the contact and get a comparable price?
I will look into that and see if the compare services and prices. Well, I don't know what services they provide versus the software.
The biggest difference is gonna be they come in and they wanna mark everything for you.
Okay. So
That's probably the biggest difference. I don't know where they are as far as the customizing of the fields. I don't know where they are, there's no charge.
You know, we've talked about having you guys come in and do invert elevations on the sewer lines and manhole elevation, so depth for all the manholes. So doing some additional collection and feeding the data in be a long-term project.
yeah, and it could be us or it could be city too. Once you have
The invert elevation.
the sticking to the manholes would be but that's information that
That would require
when you
a
have the
higher
system.
level of accuracy than. We could probably get,
Probably not so much with the GIS, because our GIS system for this manholes is accurate. Those are surveyed. What we don't have is the depth.
vertical.
Depth is all done manually. We pop the manhole lid, we stick the old school level rod down there, we measure across to the rim. We know what the rim elevation is from the survey. We minus the depth down the sewer, and that's our.
So you already have the rim elevation?
I believe we do from the, so, I'll check. But it's possible, yeah. If we don't have the rim elevation, then we would need accurate Z elevation, vertical elevation.
Would
But
I be able to see that on the?
it should be, there might be a field for it, but whether it's accurate or not is the question, Deb. But the system is there, any data can be put in there.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that what we would have for a shapefile would already have a field for it. So whether it's filled in or not, there's a field for it. So
Well, good thing to think about.
Mhm.
And put it back on the meeting next month.
Is that a motion?
Yes,
Motion by Steve to table the item until our May 2nd meeting when we get comparables. Is there a second? Second by Lauren, discussion. Hearing none, I don't remember where I left off at, so Steve.
yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
let's go.
Good seeing you again.
You too.
8B, discussion action on River Lawn Stormwater Study presentation.
Was that a Freudian slip there, or was that on purpose?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So I've got a draft report. I didn't make Deb print this because this is a lot of pages here, but
See, it was wood lawn, but how many trees did he cut down?
yeah, and there's no woods there anymore.
Gone.
Deb, I'll give you one for your files.
Thank you.
So this is draft, and I'll show you why in a minute because I caught one thing here as I was reviewing it one last time. So what technical document, essentially the final recommendation or recommendation analysis. If you go back to design alternative 1, it kind of shows it about mid packet. There's an exhibit that kind of shows the what we looked at. We looked at 2 different alternatives for conveying stormwater down Woodlawn. The first alternative is a series of culverts and urban section roadway ditches. So basically, right now there is no ditch, so to speak. There's some piles in kind of a low spot. So what we looked at was a reasonable conveyance to convey the stormwater down Woodlawn, outliving to the creek. The criteria with stormwater design is you can design for a certain storm event. Right? You can design for a 5-year storm event, which is a 20% chance of occurring every year. 100-year storm event, which has a 1% chance of occurring every year. Obviously, the size gets bigger. Looking at what we had reasonable wise on this, also depth of cover underneath the roadways and the outlet to the creek. The design was based on about a 10-year design storm event, so it has a 10% chance of occurring every year and is a pretty good size storm. Obviously, it's going to be a drastic improvement over what happens today. Because today, I'm not sure it has a 1-year conveyance. It just kind of goes down the road and does what it does. But the other caveat is if you read through and don't fall asleep on some of the technical stuff is the stormwater assumptions made for the runoff in the area assumes basically some uninterrupted runoff. It's noted in there that there's some potholes in low areas and the detention basin at the school, the height of the track. Some of those are going to mitigate some of that runoff flow to the point where the flow numbers that we have in here could be 25-50% higher than what the actual storm event would be when you take into fact all the other complexities of the watershed. So again, that builds in a little bit of resiliency, right? So we say it'll take the 10-year storm now. In reality, it probably takes a little bigger than the 10-year storm because of the complexities of the watershed. It does also note that there are still going to be some areas that are going to spill out over into the roadway, just because it's limited, right? Again, it'll be an improvement over what's there today, but but certainly isn't going to fix every storm that comes down through. And I think that's important to convey to the public. That doesn't mean your yard's never going to get wet again. It just means it's going to get wet a whole lot less times than it does now. Looking at it, the first option there is a series, like I said, culverts underneath third, second. This is the one correction that I have not had a chance to talk to the engineer that helped me with it. They had it going under first and then across the soccer park here. I don't think we want a ditch going across the soccer park. So I caught that late. So what this would be, basically, it would be a culvert that goes underneath Woodlawn then, and more than likely goes down north side of first with a ditch in that way. It's not going to affect the cost too much because the lengths are about the same. But that's one change we would make there. So again, it's urban or rural section, ditch along the roadway. The culverts would be sized, concrete culverts that get underneath the roadway. They're going to have minimal cover just because of the flatness of the site in the area. But they would be sized to where it would be less striking to have that 24-inch going into a 15 smash CMP. So it'd be a 24 into a 24 into a 24 into 30, I think, at the bottom. So estimated cost on that one. Again, this is high level planning cost, but just going to give you a ballpark for comparison.
10 grand.
Almost 75 to 90. So it's basically a lot of grading and culverts to get that done. In today's climate, it's kind of about the 10 grand. It's pretty cheap. The other option would be essentially piping it with a storm sewer the whole way. So this would be out of sight, out of mind. It would be the existing grade would go back similar to what people see today. They wouldn't lose any of their flat front yard right up to the street. It would look like it does today, but there would be a conveyance system, a storm sewer that's underneath the grade to take the stormwater all the way out.
With intakes several places.
There would be some intakes in key locations. It's still not going to have a lot of depth on it. It's still going to be pretty shallow. It basically would replace the tile that's there today with a bigger pipe. And it ranges from a 24-inch to a 30-inch storm sewer.
At that point, would you keep this?
We would probably keep this route to go to the creek, or maybe adjust it slightly, but you could still go across the soccer park with that because it wouldn't. It would disturb it during construction, but great to go back.
Would there be any issue with having the 90 right there to go the route that we were talking about, the ditch would go?
No, there wouldn't be an issue.
No.
Okay. I mean, technically, if you want to get into the engineering minutia, yeah, you have some additional head losses at a turn like that, but it doesn't matter in the big picture. So that's the other option. Again, that's makes it look more like it does today, but there is a cost with that, $230,000 to $275,000, so closer to $300,000 cost to do storm
and
sewer
how
that way.
big of a drainage ditch are we talking about? Are we talking about as steep as Rock Creek or?
Nope. So let's see. It's in there. I could go off my memory, but I'm gonna make sure I get it right. So this is assuming a 3-foot bottom and 3-to-1 side slopes. So 3-to-1 is considered a mobile slope. In my opinion, it's mobile if it's not too long. You get a 3-to-1 that goes a long ways, that gets a little, but 3-to-1 for a 2-foot deep ditch. I don't know what the depth of the ditch is there. It probably varies along the way, but so this is a 3-to-1 side slopes, which is a mobile ditch, and a 3-to-1 channel bottom.
And would you recommend?
Is that going to fit within the right of way?
It may not. So this is stormwater design only. Where this fits in the grand scheme of the area, we would have to take a closer look at in the details of what that section looks like going down through.
Would you recommend those staying grass or putting rock in, or?
I would recommend it stay grass. Yeah, I'd recommend it stay grass. If you're worried, knowing the area has its flooding history, and just the flatness of it as well, it is possible that we might be able to do, add a little bit of cost, but do a similar subdrain to what is there today at the bottom of that ditch that would help dry that out in between storms. But that's an option. But
if Rock Creek itself is running bank full and pushing back, are we really gaining anything?
there's a difference. you have your stormwater storm events, like I said, the 5, 10, 100 year. You have your flood events, 5, 10, 100 year flood events. They're not always the same. You can get a 100-year storm and not have 100-year flooding. You can have a 100-year flood and not have a 100-year storm. So when the creek is backed up and flooding, no, it's not going to do much, because I mean, it might a little bit, in that it has a place for that water when it starts to drain out.
Just the volume of that.
But yeah, but the flood, this area is in the floodplain primarily because of the backup of the Arch Bridge. The Arch Bridge is a constriction point for Rock Creek, and that backs water up into this area. So if Rock Creek is flowing that deep that it's backing water up, it is what it is. Nothing. I mean, we could have a giant Olympic-sized pool here and it would make a difference.
I know we talked about before. It's a bad picture because there's too many trees over here. But didn't we talk about redesigning the banks of Rock Creek at one point due to erosion? Or am I making that up?
No, we wish listed it as a council. The problem is when you start dealing with the bank of a creek, then you're dealing with the DNR.
Yeah.
Corps of Engineers, even better.
Corps of Engineers, I'm talking that small.
Oh yeah, because now it's a delineated stream. So now it's a delineated stream. You have wetland delineations. DNR gets into it as well. Yeah, you get everybody and their brother.
So
not to say it's not doable. It becomes much more complicated, and they have limitations on what you can do in the stream. You can't fill more than 5% of the volume, and it's
my question is, if we ever went that route, 10, 15, 20, when I'm not in this position, down the road, would that hinder the drainage ditches or tiling that we put in?
No, it shouldn't, because really all you're going to be able to do for erosion control is lay back the bank, armor the bank, stabilize the bank. The channel flow line stays the same. The location more or less stays the same, because they don't like you changing the locations of streams now. So its outlet is going to be at the elevation that's
I think it
doable
needs to
today.
be moved a little bit so that it goes underneath the bridge at a right angle, as opposed to going at an angle to the bridge
And scouring out along that corner, because the
Cuts
turn is
along.
right there at the bridge. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Small modifications like that might be able to be done. They can't do like they did with Skunk River years ago. But
So alternative 1 and alternative 2 are two completely different. They look totally different. They're completely different.
yeah, I mean, it's basically an open conveyance versus a closed conveyance. One's in the pipe, everything goes back looking like it is today. The other one is an open conveyance. It looks different. Now there's a ditch there. There wasn't a ditch before.
And that would affect
Mm-hmm.
3 properties, if I'm looking at that right. One on the corner of 3rd and Woodlawn.
There's 2 between 3rd and 2nd. Then there's an open lot, and then there's, I think, technically 2 between 1st and 2nd, but I think there's only 1 house there. I could be wrong.
Yes, yes, because the one that is on the corner of 2nd and Woodlawn, that one burnt down years ago.
Yeah, so I think it's still privately owned, but I don't think it's got a house on it.
Well, is it church on that?
church owns where the garage is.
Okay.
So I would love to get the info of those.
Yeah.
3
Mhm.
people. And the church.
Obviously, the ideal one is to, if they do the job and they would have it never happened, but now that it's
Yeah, because what we would, I think there'd be a little bit more, when we're looking at the drainage ditch, would probably be another 24-inch culvert going underneath the driveway of.
Yeah, there'd be some driveway culverts in there that I don't know that it got factored in there. That's another good one. I'll have her.
Jay's house.
Take a look at.
My grandparents'
Mhm.
old house at the bottom there.
If we're gonna take this to a public meeting, And I think it would be good to have a cross-section
Mhm.
that shows
What that's gonna look like.
the road, the road in relationship to the ground on the east side, and then the depth and width of the ditch
Mhm.
on the west side.
You know what I just noticed? This is hilarious. Look at the right side.
I noticed that
It says Corey.
a couple of times
They
ago.
they either,
He planted
How did
trees.
he?
did he?
Seriously,
Wow.
isn't that crazy?
That's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
And he had available to him survey equipment that allowed him to.
Wait, did he misappropriate company equipment?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have
He,
to-
he would never do that.
Certainly not.
Where does Mr. Corey live?
Yeah.
Anyway?
Right.
Right at the top there.
Right there.
All we dang. I noticed that
That's funny.
when I was looking at something else, and somebody at work caught that too. They were like, "Corey."
Cool.
Uh,
It's floodplain. What else are you gonna do? with
Yeah,
it?
make it fun.
Plant your name in it.
I'm gonna bring this up again, because keep in mind, there could be an additional, not an additional, it's already our money. But there might be the option of having $400,000 again to our disposal next year. So it could be another good project to look at doing sooner rather than later.
the importance of what we're doing here in getting projects at least to a point where there is an engineering estimate is that we can now put them in a list, and if something comes up, or if we are able to go out and seek some additional funding or whatever, we can pull the plan off and do that.
Doesn't TIF also have some requirements of a certain percentage have to be spent elsewhere?
LMI.
LMI?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
It may be LMI
There-
district.
There's not a lot of houses down here. There's only a difference,
Mhm.
but the houses that are there are.
And
LMI.
we would be,
and there wouldn't be very much money available in the LMI for the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
and they're talking, they want to do 16-year TIP. Obviously, we have to get the
Special permission for that.
yeah. And in which case, when I did the calculation with these folks, the LMI would be close to $1 million. So, which we're going to have to spend at some point on LMI something.
Mhm.
So. I think this is a much needed
Yeah.
thing. And I think it would put a lot of people that are down on the south side, on that side of town,
East side.
southeast
Southeast.
side of town, a little more at ease.
With either or do you think they'd obviously prefer?
I think we provide the either or, just as it was provided
Yeah.
to us.
Yep.
Correcting the location of the ditch, and adding the number of culverts that we'd have to have on that side, showing what the typical cross section would look like, maybe in the block between second and third, and then maybe in the block between first and second, if there's a significant difference
Yeah.
because of the depth.
If it looks different in that area, then yeah.
And I will say, I have seen what I believe is a significant difference since they put in that detention pond. out there.
Difference in,
Water flow and backup. And because we got that big rain a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last month, I don't remember.
It's been a month ago, I think.
We
So
did
it slowed down the flow?
his job.
good, that's good to hear.
And then the downside of that obviously is the fact that you have water running for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
But it's not, it didn't look, from my eyesight, it didn't look like it was backing up like it used to, so.
So we'll have to throw those numbers. Option one with the culverts and was how much?
It's in there, it's like 75 to 90. And I'll get the culvert, I'll get that updated. Like I said, I want to call this a draft. To get you
And
guys
doing it all underneath and looking like it currently does.
230 to 275 is what
Okay.
she had in there. So
Thank you.
I will update those if it needs to be with the additional culverts
All culverts.
and the reroute to get it to the one first. And then typical sections.
And you make it sound so easy, just run it through the soccer field and then smooth it out again, no problem.
Well, you'll see it there for a while.
And you'll probably trip a few kids.
Yeah.
Making the turn probably is advantageous.
I think we'll probably just change both of them to take it out.
The 90 or 90.
Yeah.
A little more,
Yeah.
20 degrees.
There's quite a drop between water lawn and the crossing there.
There's plenty of elevation difference.
And so maybe it even could be daylighted someplace further back from the creek.
Ditched. Well, especially with alternative one, so we either have a couple options. If we culvert across Woodlawn and down the north side, I would say probably now that I'm looking at it, we leave it culverted here and we open down here. So if that's the case, there might come a point where, hey, we've reached where we can tie in with the existing ditch that's there and we're good. So we don't have to take it all the way to the creek necessarily. We'll see.
And the same thing would be true for the pipe.
Same thing for the pipe.
Side
The
note,
pipe, the pipe you could get across and then just do an open cut because that's soccer park, right?
Yep.
So a ditch there isn't like it's somebody's front yard. So
Exactly.
outlet it to there and then let it be open cut the rest of the way.
have we, oh, my cursor's not showing up on there. But where the parking is for Scout Park, have we ever thought about just putting barricades up and letting that be a completely abandoned access point to the sewage treatment plant, since it's no longer needed?
Well, we have a gate,
Do we?
and the gate is
It's closed.
closed.
Okay.
And I don't think any of our vehicles can cross there anymore, even in low water.
I wouldn't risk it.
Maybe, well, I was gonna say maybe the Ziegler could cross it, but I'm not even sure I do take that.
It would until it couldn't.
Yeah,
And then we're out
And then we're out again.
$114,000.
Yeah.
We're back to renting.
Yeah. Any other discussion on
Don't
item
get me started on that.
8B? Well, we're about to get you started on
We're
that
about
here
to get you
coming up.
started there.
so, when we get this, we invite the property owners to a special meeting.
I think that'd be a great idea. Get
Special
them-
meeting, public meeting, we do public meetings that are specifically for that. We've also done public meetings at a council meeting, or we could do a workshop meeting on
I think we
On
can
the
do a
interim and then,
workshop,
yeah.
hold it down at the Legion
Yep.
Hall or someplace
Yeah.
where everybody can sit around the table.
Yeah.
we can print some big maps so everybody can see them.
Yeah, I'd really like to see their input, especially, and not only those three houses, but the houses on the east side as
Even on the
well.
east side.
Yeah.
Because, they're sitting in the mud.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the
but the
question,
ditches are on the west side. The
Yes.
ditches would be on the west.
Ditches is such a strong word.
Okay.
The lowest
Drainage.
part.
Generally the
Drainage.
lowest part is on the west side, although the east side has its own issues too. But
we may have to get the water back across
with
the street.
with the channel there, it would be a lot easier to, if you had a wet spot on the east side, to put a culvert across the road, to pick up some of that too, because you have an outlet now. Right now, you don't have an
Like,
outlet.
like we did at Milligan's.
Would you have to put that outlet at an angle then, so
No.
it catches that water and?
It would depend on how you outlet it. If it outlets to a flared end section or a beehive in grate,
Okay.
you can do it like these. Your flows aren't high enough that water will turn the corner.
So I don't know if we want to take action and say the next action is to.
Well, we'll get the information and then once we have it.
Yeah, we'll get you the final one based on our comments here tonight.
Okay.
And then,
We'll apply another meeting.
And don't forget to add those culverts underneath the roadways.
got it.
Perfect. Or not roadways, but
Driveways.
driveways.
Yep.
Cool.
I got it listed.
All right, once you're up again, item 8C, discussion action on Heart of Iowa Arch Bridge erosion repair.
All right. So this one we'll have a little less discussion on because I am still, we've got, I don't have anything for you tonight on it, what I wanted to update you. So, we've got one option drawn up with a detail to put a little gabion wall in there. Basically, there's nothing that we can surface apply that's going to stay there
Can you go
because
to a,
Beacon.
like Beacon that doesn't have the trees so we can see it?
yeah, it's even Beacon's a little touchy. I should have sent you some photos. I took some photos the other day, but so the scour is at the end of the bridge abutment, and at the toe of the scour is the 1-to-1 clear down to the creek. So there's nothing that I'm aware of or I'm confident in a surface application that's going to keep it from continuing to go. We can put dirt back in there, make the slope again, get grass to grow, and I'm not confident that it's just going to lose the toe again and going out. So the solution that we're pursuing is, so here's your scour right here, kind of dishes out, is essentially an extension of the bridge wall. So not too far past the bridge wall, the grade starts to flatten out a little bit and we can tie in to a more stable slope. So what I'm looking to do is extend the bridge wall to a certain extent with either a gabion, stacked gabion baskets, or and I've got those drawn up actually, but what I'm trying to get input on, and I've got trading phone calls with a representative that does grass walls. Basically, it's a vegetative wall system that I'm trying to basically we'll call it bags of dirt that they can grow grass out of. It's a little more detailed than that, but basically it would leave it in a vegetative state rather than rock baskets, which aren't necessarily very pretty to look at. And it also might be cheaper. So I wanted to see what that cost option would be. Because to get rock back up in there, build the baskets, nobody likes them. Contractors don't like to build those baskets, so they price it accordingly. So especially for a small number, we'd have only like 4 or 5 baskets. So I wanted to get some more information on that. Vegetated wall, price it out, ease of construction, it might be easier to do. It might even be something that staff could do. I don't know how far we want to go down on that. But so I'm still trying to get information back from him. This next week we're getting together and finally got that meeting set, so he's going to bring me some information and get that looked at. The other thing that we're going to look to do there is currently the runoff from the bridge. There's kind of a high point around the middle of the bridge. The runoff, the trail doesn't necessarily have a real strong crown. So what it looks like some of this is getting caused by is runoff is starting to concentrate along that north edge of the trail. And then it gets to that into the bridge abutment and it kind of scours down and around. What I'd like to do is set whatever we do here up higher, regrade so that we have, we keep that whatever flow is concentrated against the trail up against the trail and continue that grading till we get somewhere down in here further away from the bridge where it's a flatter slope and then let it go where it's going to go.
So is the architecture on the outside, is it eroding as well?
The architecture,
like the original look of the bridge? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm
the concrete itself?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, concrete's falling. It's pretty bad.
On the wings underneath.
Yeah. But it's hard to tell. I mean, it's 2-3 foot thick wall, so it's corroded on the outside, crumbling on the outside, but how much is still solid around the structural engineer, so I won't have to guess, but it is showing wear on the outside edge.
One of the things before Bonnie Shopper passed away. Nicole was on council, I think you were on council too at that time. She reached out to Nicole and her big thing was this bridge, because she thought it was a historical icon for the city of Maxwell. And so, thinking about that, that was one of my concerns, is the preservation of that historical icon and what we can do to preserve it, either in its current state or try to.
Putting the baskets in so we stop erosion is going to be the biggest thing that we can do right now.
Right now, that's your biggest threat to the undermining of the bridge abutment is that erosion that's occurring at that one end.
Yeah.
The other ends, I looked at those; they're pretty solid, slope-wise, stability-wise. This is one. So
You can see that the creek is flowing against the western wall of the bridge, and it's silted in at least halfway underneath.
Yeah.
And what would be great is to move it back to the middle. But
Yeah, and we're talking about just dealing with right up here at the bridge abutment. This slope going down here it's a steep slope. It is what it is. Before I started with you guys, there was actually a REAP project. Maybe you remember it, Steve, where they did they were supposed, I think it's when they built the trail, they had in there a component to do some retro work on the bridge. When they got into it, they found that there was some other issues that were going to cost a lot more money. At that time, it was decided, no, we're not going to do it then. And the work on the bridge was stopped at that time. I don't know any more than that. I just know they did it. I do know that in talking with big guy with the crazy beard, Rich Volker, that came by to talk about trails one time, he is working with a lot with Story County and their trail system. This bridge is on his radar. I put it on his radar. They're doing some other bridge restoration work in Story County. It's a big funding game, but so he's aware of this one and the desire to keep it. And obviously this is a key part of the trail. If this bridge doesn't stay, the trail doesn't go anywhere else. It has to go here. So something really needs to go in here.
they may find it more cost effective to remove the bridge and put in
Something else.
trestle over it.
Yeah.
And be done with it.
Yeah.
Than trying to repair it.
Yeah,
Right.
You can make it look like what the trestle bridge that we have over the Indian going towards Cambridge.
Yeah. So there is a bridge currently on Story County's trail system that has been deemed historical. We want to save this. And so they are doing a lot of effort to save and restore that bridge. Depending on how that goes, might see how that funding stream works for that one. Maybe it works for this one too. Like I said, it's on Rich's radar.
And I think too, that's something we have, we're building our relationship with the County Board of Supervisors. So that may be something to talk to Latifa about, to see what their thoughts are and what funding there is to either remove the bridge and put a new one up, or the repairs and restoration of it as well. I made note of that too.
So you will have a more complete report the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Your expectation.
assuming that my expectation, I'm supposed to meet with the guy this week. And then he's going to get me some information on the details in the system. We'll get some costs from him. And if it turns out to be a lot more expensive than Gaming Wall, well, we may still show it to you guys. And if you like to look at it better, it may still be an option. But if it's a lot cheaper and it's just as effective, that'd be just the one to go with. But.
Putting a gaming wall there, nobody's going to see it. It could be as ugly as it was.
Well, yeah, it's on the back side. You'll see the top of it, but we can put dirt over the top of that and try to make it disappear. But
Potentially could be a great area for a kayak access.
Have you
Not
seen, that's
terrible.
true, have you seen
Not
the,
terrible.
what they're doing by the, long jump, is it long jump? No, it's, the other fish place,
Red Lobster. by
Red
Ames.
Lobster, over in Ames.
Oh,
No, I
gosh,
haven't.
yes.
That's crazy.
Next time,
JDN City.
Oh, no.
Oh?
They have
Oh, it's a fancy,
Huge
these
wall.
Tinkertoy, or these great big, like Lego.
like Lego concrete blocks.
Concrete
Huge.
blocks.
Yeah. Yep.
At least on one side, and then the other side, it's all riprap and.
Yeah.
30-foot tall and shoot 80-foot long.
Wow.
It's monstrous.
Well, they're trying to squeeze in an urban corridor there too, so they have limited space to work with. So yeah.
I mean, that could be a really good kayak access because that flows down into the Indian there.
Yeah.
So. And I think we got a lot of kayakers now.
Jody and I used to walk that and take water samples for the DNR back when they were doing the Iowa waters.
Mm-hmm.
And in the summertime, it's hard to float a leaf, let alone a kayak.
Probably. Yeah.
You'd be carrying it more than
If you could get a kayak in there, I could float from there down a mile from my house.
You could.
Indian Creek goes a mile from
You
me.
could.
Mile from me.
I know that has been a big topic for the younger kids that I've been talking to about kayak access.
We'll do the kayak access on Indian Creek
Yeah.
instead of Rock Creek.
Probably a better idea. Okay, cool. Any other discussion on the bridge erosion report? Perfect. Hearing none, we'll move on to 6D, discussion action on final acceptance of wastewater treatment plant improvement project. Wes, you're up.
Oh man, geez, I feel like I've monopolized your meeting there. So I mentioned earlier, treatment plant is done. We recommend acceptance of the project. There is one caveat. The project required Davis-Bacon wages to be paid by the contractors. Part of that verification we do, or I say we didn't do this one. We do it, but Simmer and Corey did their review. There was one subcontractor that didn't pay wages, so they have to do a restitution payout or restitution payment. They have not done that yet. So we would like to ask the city to, I believe there shouldn't be an issue with this. Let me know if you have concerns, but move to accept the project subject to satisfactory submission of the Davis-Bacon final paperwork closeout.
It's the law.
Yeah, they have to do it. Yep. So, what I'm not sure, we've done it before. If you're comfortable with it, is accept subject to. So basically, once you accept the project, you have to release the retainage and pay them the retainage within 30 days. So if you accept the project today with no conditions, then you have to pay the retainage in 30 days. If they have not met their obligations for the Davis-Bacon requirements, there's about a $5,000 withholding that SRF will withhold from their reimbursement to you until that is met. So potentially you could be out $5,000 on your reimbursement until it's met. I don't believe you have any, from my conversations with the SRF and the IEDA, I don't believe you have any legal liability because it's a Department of Labor thing. But I think we can get around that if we say approval subject to. So as soon as they submit that Davis-Bacon and we get confirmation of that, that's what starts the 30-day clock. That's when they're accepted. And then we go from there. Otherwise, we don't accept it today and we just wait, and we might have to do a special meeting to accept it if they're cranky for their money, or if we don't accept it today, they're probably going to ask for a reduced retainage, which is where we pay part of the retainage, but not all of it. It's a whole bunch more paperwork. I think it's easier if we just say accept subject to, if you guys are good with that. But yeah, she's done. Grass should start growing here this year. That's old. We now have covers on both lagoons. Yeah, I have not talked to Tony. I need to. I haven't heard anything. I'm assuming we're still meeting our limits.
The property owner to the east,
Off of Webb.
off of Webb, said they just moved in recently, not the one immediately, but a little bit further away.
Mhm.
They just moved in. When they looked at their house, apparently the wind was blowing from the north.
Oh.
And since then, it's been blowing from the south all the time. So they could smell it. But now that we have it covered, there shouldn't be any smell.
There shouldn't be any smell. If they smell it now that we have it covered, they have a nose better than most hound dogs because
Okay.
Well,
I told him that we're covering it so you won't have any. And
yeah,
he was pretty happy about that.
maybe on a weird occasion in the heat of the summer or something might escape through the cracks, but it's certainly going to be a lot less than if it still remained uncovered because the system remains the same. It's aerated. It's still lagoons. The only difference is instead of having the polishing lagoon, we have the underground polishing reactor. So there's a lot less open water. I mean, 99.9% less open water, so there should be a 99.9% less chance of smell. So
When we put this in, what was the expandability of Maxwell to utilize these two lagoons? You know,
It covered the entire development area
which was what,
with half-acre lots.
90 houses? Does that sound right?
yeah, it gave us, but we looked at what the current plant was designed for and evaluated that against the town, and the original plant design was big enough to cover all of the new development up to the north that we would anticipate
And
going
if it gets
in a reasonable
if
future.
it gets tight, then we can go in and do a little bit more elimination of inflow.
Mhm.
And because we still get a lot of inflow from just the sewer lines,
Services.
the services on the sewer lines, because we've slip lined everything, but even so we could do some things that give us additional capacity.
So worst case scenario, if we had to put one more lagoon out there, would we go directly to the east of that then?
I don't think we could do any of it.
Yeah, to expand the lagoons, there's a couple different criteria. Instead of adding a lagoon, more than likely we want to just increase the size of the lagoons we have. There are setback limits to adjacent houses. If you're there first, you have right of way. But when you go to expand, then there's a 1,000-foot setback, and you can encroach up to 10% without issue. If you have to encroach more than 10% of that 1,000 foot, so 900 feet, if you have to get closer to 900 feet with any kind of open water, then you have to get a waiver from the property owners, which, as you can imagine, isn't necessarily easy thing to do.
I'm just trying to think ahead when we talk about the Story County housing study. Best case scenario, we get 162 houses by 2040.
You'll be all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Particularly if we do some handling of the inflow.
Cool. Is there any other discussion? Otherwise,
I think you need to motion to accept subject to.
I move that we accept the wastewater treatment plant improvements subject to completion of the
Dodd-Frank?
Davis
Davis Bacon. Dodd-Frank's making it. They'll start with D. I was working on that today, so. Perfect. So
compliance with Davis Bacon.
there you go. That's a motion made by Steve. Is there a second?
Second to Dodd-Frank.
Yeah. Seconded by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug. Yes. Ken. Steve.
The other Ken.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, now, Doug, it is your time to shine. Discussion and action on backhoe rental payment.
Bring it, Doug.
Well, looking at the contract, Deb, did you include that in here?
Yep.
Our initial contract was 1 month, $25.88 plus a couple $100 for shipping it down here. And that's the only thing that we have signed. And I don't know how it got extended or what happened to extend it, but it ended up almost triple that by the time they were done. And that's concerning.
I am going to say my thoughts, and you guys can take it or leave it, because really my thoughts don't matter on a city council vote. So they did take $1,000 off because they did invoice us in February for a full month instead of a half month. But with that, I did talk to some folks, and they did use it for the 3 months that we had. I think the biggest issue that they ran into was we had no idea when we were going to get the backhoe, and didn't realize it was going to be that long to get it. So my suggestion would be pay it, move on. We're cutting our losses and going to be more careful if we ever have to rent again from Ziegler. Anybody else's input is welcome.
Well, I've given mine. I think when I asked Tony at the end of the first month, the phrase was, they're gonna work with us. I think maybe that should have been said, they're gonna work us over on that, which I thought, well, they're gonna help us in some fashion, but they didn't, from what I can see at all. We rented it for a month. I'm having trouble going a lot further than that. It wasn't our fault that they couldn't get it delivered. It wasn't their fault either. It's just the fact that there was, and I'm just having concerns that they are working us over by billing us every time. In reality, we didn't need it at all. We could have got by without it because we had limited snow. We didn't know that at the time. I certainly suggest in the future that we look at options there, alternative bids for one thing, without going with just one on it. There's that, what, Reuters down there on the
There's
highway.
Capital City.
There's
Capital
several
City,
other
there's
places,
a ton of
and
places.
why we settled on this one, I don't know.
I don't even know that, were I to do it over again, I wouldn't rent it all. And it's basically only used if we have a water main break or something for the sewer. Well, we could hire a contractor to come in,
Correct.
do that.
Or
and
borrow
spend-
Collins machines, we talked
spend a
about
little
sharing
bit.
anyway.
And if we had a big snow and we needed another piece of equipment, do a 1-day rental. And yeah, it may take a couple days to get it here, but
We could survive.
that's better than, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000.
What, you mentioned there was a contract. The contract was only for the first month,
Yeah, the contract was this,
was for this one right here?
is that the one? 2588 and then 210?
And this was signed, the first, the 1 month.
Yeah, that was the one we
contract.
signed, correct?
Yeah, that's the one that Tony signed.
And that's the only,
That's the only one. So how,
and the council action specifically said 1 month. So that was where that got turned into 3 months. Or most of 3 months.
who had the conversation to bring it down $1,000 on this one? Who had the
Uh,
conversation?
I tried to contact them, didn't hear anything back. Deb finally got on the phone, was able to get a hold of them after how many months? Yep. We've been trying to contact them for a while.
Half a dozen phone calls. Did I check every time it came in? I know it was several weeks.
I think the biggest issue that we're gonna fall into is, yes, we rented it. The contract was for 1 month, but it was in our possession for that full amount. So that's why my thought was, here's your money, good riddance. We're gonna go somewhere else next time.
I agree with both.
Yeah,
There
I
is a
certainly
client
can
in
see.
it, and I'll tell you, I do have a contact at Bigler. Her name's Brenda. She's in the credit department. If we want, I will fight tooth and nail if you want me to go that route. And I'm happy to take this to Brenda. I'm happy to take it to Ben, anybody at Ziegler. But you're right, you're going to run into it was in your possession. I still don't understand how they can bill without a contract if it's only a month.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to take it that far if that's the way we want to go. $7,000 is a lot of money.
Mhm.
A lot of money.
Yes.
And Doug, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to bulldoze you, but I 100% agree with you and 100% understand where you're
No,
coming from.
there's
with all
two
this. Yeah.
sides. Both sides are.
Yeah.
It's how far do you want to go?
Well, not to badmouth Ziegler, but they did try to bill us when we had the derecho for damage that wasn't done by us, but we had to fight tooth and nail to get that removed. Thankfully, Deb had some pictures to confirm that. I just think we need to get competitive bids on everything we do from now on.
Sure.
The fact that they charge us for the bucket, and I saw an email, I couldn't pull it up, I couldn't find it again, but one of Tony's communications with this gentleman here, Justin Walker, said, we need to get that here soon in case we have snow. Well, if it doesn't come with a bucket on it, it's absolutely no value for snow, but they charge us an extra couple $100 to get a bucket.
Not to mention in the past, we haven't been charged with bucket. And so
So
when
there's a lot of things here that bother me.
when Deb talked to them about that, they said, well, that's just how we bill.
Well, and if you look, the contract only says the 2,588.
It doesn't.
It doesn't say anything about
Yeah,
charging
there's
more
no
for a
bucket listed
bucket.
there. And Tony's email had that number, 2588.
I argued with a couple people and I didn't get anywhere.
Because I think it still lies within, it was in our possession for those 2.5 months.
Well, we should charge him
How would it have
Interest on
been removed from our possession? Would we have called them and told them to come and pick it up?
Probably.
And so by us not calling and having it picked up, then we incurred the extra charge, even though the contract was only for 1 month. We still had to be proactive in calling them to tell them to pick it up.
Is the question, did we do
Yeah.
that?
Well,
Do we have to when we contract for a month?
Yeah.
we may have said, oh, we better keep it until we get the other one. And that may have been an informal,
Part of me is saying lesson learned, and part of me is saying, ooh, I'm not happy about this.
Well, I'm more not happy than lesson learned.
I know.
I'm sorry. I
I
think we should pay him the $3,058. No, wait, not even that. Transportation and the rear bucket. Was the bucket on the contract, Deb? Or am I reading the wrong paper?
No, the bucket wasn't on the contract.
Bucket wasn't on the contract. So the 2588 and the 260 transportation is all the contract said.
what rear bucket is on the,
This didn't make the contract,
well, but
but it's on the.
there's the only thing on the, so you have a backhoe that doesn't have a bucket on it?
That's what I said.
That's what we were talking.
But yeah, that's what we were saying
Yeah,
earlier.
that's.
Yeah.
It's of no value if it doesn't have a bucket.
Somebody sits on the back with a shovel. That's how they.
Well, Christie.
One big flower pot.
That's why we got a second
Yeah,
assistant.
yep.
No, there are no good options.
No,
No,
No.
because
No.
the other thing that I think we'll run into is we need to be proactive. So, because we're already how many months past due on this deal? going on 2,
Well, the first one came in January.
January.
Yep, January 10th,
We want to just be
This was
careful that this doesn't go.
due in February, and you're not accruing service charges.
Yeah.
And
going
do you ever
collections
receive a
and all that.
statement from them, Deb?
Yeah,
Is there any sort of service fees on there?
no.
Oh.
But I think they know that they were in the wrong at that point.
Okay.
Well, I move we pay the $3,058 and
Let Lauren have them.
let Lauren discuss with them the other $3,060. And if she comes back with a recommendation to pay all or part of that, that the clerk be authorized to draw the check and have it signed by the mayor and the mayor pro tem.
That is a motion made by Stephen. Is there a second?
You said 3,058, so you're including,
$3,058, but
you're including
also,
you're including the
Laura-
bucket then,
yes,
because the original was 2,060.
yep.
Okay, so you're going that, you're
And
compromising.
the only reason I'm including that is because we've taken so long and they haven't charged us any interest, so fine, we'll pay for the bucket for on that first month. And then the motion authorizes Lauren to discuss options with them to get a more reasonable price. And if she can't get it, then
I don't think we have another option.
whatever she comes back with, authorize the check be drawn and the.
So they're gonna ask for the full amount and we'll pay it then.
Well, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe Lauren
I
will.
think Doug.
Oh,
Okay.
Megan
That's
second did that, so that's a motion made by Steve, second by
All right.
Megan. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
No,
Steve.
Yes,
Deb, could I get a copy of the contract before I leave, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, item 8, A, B, C, D, E, F. No worries. Item 8F, discussion action on Whimsical wine trailer liquor license. You'll see that from the Iowa Beverage Division, Alcoholic Beverage Division.
this is a liquor license that is good for 6 months. And it has Sunday sales and outdoor service. So approving this means that they could come here any Wednesday and set up down at the stage and sell liquor in the park, because it is a 6-month and it's not restricted to Sundays, nor is it restricted to when there are events for marketing the park. This is just 6 months in the park. Now, one of those days would be the first Sunday after the first Friday in August. And I know that that area is going to be busy. And that there will not be a mark in the park, or there may be a mark in the park, I don't know. But approving this is kind of a blank check. So I don't know whether we can approve it with the stipulation that it only be that the city only permits the use of it when there is a event, a Mark in the Park event, which means that they couldn't do it on a Wednesday unless Mark in the Park is on Wednesday. Wouldn't be doing it at the first Sunday after the first Friday.
You're really good at it, Steve.
Because unless there was an agreement that everybody was going to work and play well together.
I do have a question as well. And Lauren, maybe you can answer this for me.
Yeah, I can chime in.
The back, the second page.
Yep.
The insurance information.
Yep.
It says the policy expiration date is May 3rd.
Yes. She will have a screenshot to me. She won't have a hard copy to me, but the screenshot will be to me, and she also will send it to Deb as well. The concern of an open check, or a blank check. Nicole is not cheap to get here. She's not with anybody else but the market. So she's not just gonna come down here. Now, that's just a verbal. I understand your concern. She will not be doing Wednesday. She'll only be doing Sunday, and there is no market in the park. The first Sunday following the first Friday of August, something like that.
And her letter references that Sunday events in Maxwell.
Yes, her letter does reference Sunday. It doesn't say Sunday only, but Sunday events.
If, for instance, on a Saturday you have an event, is this something that she would be willing to bring back to the council for approval?
Sorry, could you repeat the first thought?
Like if you have a special event on a different day, like a Saturday.
Yep.
We can bring that back to council.
Well, I don't know, it need to come back to council. What I'd do is I'd approve it for any time where a market in the park
Market event.
is having an event. And just leave it generic. If they're gonna have an event, then they can have the Whimsical wine trailer there if both parties agree with it.
I'll second that motion if you made it.
No,
I'll also say kudos, because now we have a designated area.
Yes.
She's mapped out a
She's mapped
designated
out
area.
the designated area.
That's great.
So
Yeah, she did great.
was that a motion, Steve?
yes, move that the alcohol and beverage, alcohol permit be approved subject to the use only when market in the park is having an event.
And you seconded, Doug. Perfect discussion. Hearing none, I think we're on Megan.
Yeah.
Doug,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Lauren.
Yes.
Perfect. All right, next thing, discussion action on bill from Cambridge for EMS call. Let me see if I can't find that since I dropped all my paperwork. Oh, well, thank you. We got a $3,300 bill, and you can see that this goes through December. 17 calls in October, 14 calls in November, and 4 calls in December. Any questions, tied to this bill? It's a lot of money. I can tell you
We
that.
should have a budget report from the clerk that shows where we are with the EMS budget. That's on page 23 of your agenda. Just a joke. Ambulance total.
$5,091.96.
So there is money in the budget to pay for this. But we're already 84% expended out of 75% of the year. So move that, and this has been recommended by the EMS chief, right?
Yes.
Okay. Move the bill be paid.
Moved by Steve,
I'll second.
second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Discussion action on EMS invoice for Lucas device. You'll see that in here for 15,400, 600.
16,324.90.
No,
That
15.4 because there's sales tax.
15.4 because
Ah.
there's sales tax.
Thank you.
Aha.
Then
This, and I talked to Scott about this as well. This was supposed to be on next year's budget, but because he could get it at a cheaper price, and evidently this was brought up in the trustees meeting,
Yes.
the trustees said, go ahead and buy it now and just take it out of the trust fund. So that's where we're sitting at.
And the EMS trust fund has a $29,000 balance. And it is there for the purchase of equipment. This is equipment.
Yep.
So I move that the bill $15,485 be paid out with funds from the EMS trust. Now, Deb, should we be doing a transfer from EMS trust
yes,
in, okay? And that the clerk is directed and authorized to transfer the money from the EMS trust into the general fund so that it can be paid.
That was a motion made by Steve.
I'll second.
Second by Megan. Discussion? Hearing none, I think we're back to Steve.
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Megan?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Perfect. And that's kind of a big thing because I think we're one of the only
Yeah, it's huge.
volunteer fire departments around that now has that device. So
That's great.
Yeah. All they have to do is go out on calls.
Yes.
yes.
Ouch.
Discussion and action on resolution 2207, resolution improving the designation of SLFRF funds for the city of Maxwell. Is this ARPA?
yes.
So Deb and I have had several discussions on this over the last couple of weeks. What we are doing is we are designating this as, gotta refresh my memory. As standard revenue loss allowance. This allows us to use these funds for basically anything tied to roads, water, sewer, anything like that.
Okay.
And it is in order to receive those funds, I know we've received half of those, but they want us to pass a resolution designating what we're going to do with those. So,
And this resolution meets the requirement.
Yes,
Oh,
this is
okay.
what
Pardon?
we were given. And And several cities have been using it. That's already turned in their work.
Great.
So
Move approval of the resolution.
moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion. I will say this could, we could use these for several things. We could use it to help out the developer out here, or we could also use it for the Baldwin Street project as well. So,
Good to have options.
Yep. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug, Steve.
Yes.
Perfect.
Move approval of the storage unit agreement and the dust control contract.
Moved by Steve for approval of item
Authorization for the mayor to sign.
for item 8, F2 and G2.
Or is it J and K?
Second.
Okay, that's a second by Megan. Discussion, I want to pull this up quick. Does this allow us to put dust control down on Myers Street and South Street?
Yes.
Yes.
I just had somebody
It
talk to me about
it
that.
does South Street, except for a little stretch between the bridge and about 400 foot west of Macomb Drive. There's a little stretch in there that is not dust controlled because nobody lives there.
Okay.
But other than that, the whole street, both of them are provided dust control by the city.
Perfect.
Who seconded that one?
I believe it's Megan.
Oh. I didn't know if anybody did.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Item 8, discussion action on sewer maintenance contract.
Have you had a chance to look at this, Wes?
I have not.
Here, I can hand it to you.
Is there a reason that we need to act on it tonight?
I move the table. Yeah.
So that we all have a chance to review it and that Tony has a chance to maybe come to the next meeting and explain why this is a good idea. Particularly if after Wes looks at it, he has questions.
Is this something we asked for, or is this a cold call?
I think this is the second year that this has been presented to us. I believe we talked about
That
it
sounds
last year.
familiar, yeah.
I mean, it may be a great idea, but that's,
I'll float it out to our municipal group too, to see if any other communities that people work with.
Yeah, see what else is going on, get right.
CIT is who we use all the time.
Yeah, CI2's, they're a reputable company for what they do, so.
I do have a motion on the table by Doug to table this to the next,
second.
and second by Steve. Is there any other discussion in regard to this item? Hearing none. Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yep.
Megan?
Yes.
Okay. Discussion action on rental of farm ground. As you guys are aware, we own, I believe it's this parcel just to the west of the sewer lagoons. It is, I believe, a 5-acre parcel. I've had an inquiry of somebody wanting to rent that, and in the past, we have not had a rental agreement, is my understanding. And it's always been whoever is doing Sidwell property is also doing this
No, that just has been the last couple of years.
last couple of years.
It was all ground that we mowed.
I think there were some paid contracts for it, wasn't there?
Tony said that they only went around the lagoon.
Oh,
They never did that part.
Well, we've used it for sludge.
That's when they turned it into farm ground.
after they applied, was it 2014 when they judged the lagoons?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they might have applied to that area.
Before my time. So
Well, you were at least 20 years old then.
I was. I was well over 20 years old. So the action item on this would be if the council would like to put this up for bid for rental. And I would say we probably want to at least start that out at current cost, whatever the current cost of land rentals are.
Yeah, it's such a small piece. And
My question to
well,
this
it's
person,
easier to get to now because we have the road, but I'm not sure anybody can use the road to get to farm it. Can they?
they can't, according to our,
Yeah.
so the person that I talked to said that they would use Macomb
No,
to get there.
no, that's filled in. You can't get underneath the railroad track.
Or is it,
They would have to go up and over the bridge and down that steep hill.
and I don't know if we want to do that with the way the bridge is.
Now with farm equipment.
Yeah.
Be too wide potentially.
Yeah.
Could you even get farm equipment on the new road that's out there? Would that be
No,
even-
because of our easement.
Requirement is city vehicles only.
Right.
So, which would leave that the only person that could farm that would be person who is farming the rest of the Sidwell property.
Is this someone different that has approached?
What was that, sorry?
Is this, the person that's approached you is not the person farming
Correct.
Sidwell?
Well, do we want to entertain getting someone else out there to rent it? Or what, is that not?
If someone's interested in renting it, then let's put it out for rent, and it's their problem on how they're gonna get there.
Yeah, we'd have to specify that they can't use
Yeah.
the
No,
bike
no,
trail.
they can't.
They can't use the access road. The only way that potentially they could get over there, I guess, is that First Street, but we just talked that we don't even think that our backhoe would get over that. And would there be DNR issues at this point with people driving over it?
Nah.
Not that
No.
one.
I wouldn't think it would.
Did we tear it out?
Yeah, it's gone. Well, we didn't, the creek did.
Okay,
The creek pretty much took the
One of
whole
the
thing out.
poles.
And they can't modify that, would be my guess, correct?
Not without a lot of messing. We did look at a Missouri crossing at one time years ago when it first washed out. It's doable, with culverts. I think we almost gotten through final approval and the costs were just not worth it.
But even if
When we
you
had
put
other
a
accesses.
culvert in there, aren't you restricting the flow of Rock Creek when you do that?
So the way we had to do it is it's a Missouri crossing. So it's a low, multi-barrel culverts that are small for the low flow. And it's designed for during high flows, it just goes over the top and acts like a weir.
So something
So
not
they wouldn't
quite
go-
like, but similar to like when you go to the ledges. And it just goes-
Exactly. Yeah. So it's inaccessible during high flows.
But they wouldn't get in there for farm equipment anyway at that time. It'd be too wet.
Yeah, if it's that high, the field's flooded anyway, I think.
yeah, I'm not sure it's worth doing any improvements to that crossing for 5 acres of rent.
I mean,
Nope.
I would say that the city wouldn't be putting the bill, it'd be whoever wants to rent that. And if they want to rent that bad enough, they can go through that process.
Do they have a plane that they could just,
Helicopter.
helicopter,
yeah.
they could just drop in? Kind of unfortunate. I mean, if you,
The only other way that I can think of is if whoever rents it, if it's not Sidwell, is that individual would have to contact Sidwell and say,
Yeah,
can I?
contract.
yeah,
City
there you
approval.
go, yeah.
They'd have to have an agreement to
Have we
access
rented-
across.
Every year, have we received income on this every single year, or what is this?
Never.
Never. Well, I think we don't want to lose out on this, do we? I mean, maybe I don't understand.
Well, we're talking about, maybe $150 an acre for 5 acres.
Oh, okay.
Is it that,
So,
is that the going rate?
I've no idea.
You might get two.
I was gonna say double that. It's closer to
Yeah,
what?
you might get 2 or 3.
think you might get three, for
Yeah.
5 acres sitting out in the middle of
All
nowhere.
depends on where the crop prices are.
And I think it only, with that agreement, wouldn't we have to specify what they can and can't plant?
Now they'd have to rebuild the nitrogen levels to certain amounts. I know the city owns the Robinson Trust Fund acres, and it's more detailed than what you'd realize.
Yeah.
Because they have to replenish it to certain levels of nutrient value.
I think they're only wanting to do hay.
Well, then that wouldn't be drawn. In fact, that'd be helping.
Mhm.
So,
Well, if they're only doing hay, then that'd be a pretty lightweight tractor and just a small baler. They might be able to
Yeah,
get that back there on the bike trail. Because that's 10
Yeah,
foot
they-
wide.
Yeah.
It would work.
Just a baler and a wagon and
question is, how much weight do you want to put on that bridge right now?
Oh, I think the bridge will take that weight because
do we, I mean, we don't
That's
even
a
let
good question.
ATVs, UTVs or anything on there, do we? So why would we let out
Snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles.
snowmobiles?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's up to you as council what you want to do. We can go from there.
I would say don't put a price on it. Put it out there and maybe the person doing Sidwell will want to put a bid in. Maybe this other person will want to put a bid in and we'll see what it's worth for 5 acres. I would be reluctant to set a price simply because of the difficulties involved.
Okay.
True.
So that was a motion made by Steve.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Where am I at? Lauren?
Yes.
Megan?
No,
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
Lauren, why not? Or Megan, why not?
I don't like the idea of them using the trail, for one, no matter what the size of the tractor is. And for two, I just don't think it's worth the 5 acres of failing. It's not gonna bring in any money. They're very little money.
I have no problem with just saying that no use of the trail.
Yeah, I would agree. That's why I brought up, we let snowmobiles on it, but we don't let ATVs or anything like that. That was part of my discussion.
Okay.
I would agree with that, Megan.
So I move that access to the 5 acres be some way other than the Heart of Iowa Trail.
Perfect. And
Second,
do you still second that? Or who
I
seconded?
second. I still second.
Okay,
separate motion, so
perfect. So Megan,
Yes,
Doug,
Yes.
you
Steve?
put it out for me.
yes,
Okay, perfect. Yep. Steve, Lauren.
Yes.
yeah, put it out there, just see what happens.
So we're gonna need to do it soon because they're gonna
Yep.
want to be doing
Yeah, they're gonna
something.
be spring planting here soon.
Um,
Whatever.
Next up, discussion action on permanent porta potties for Maxwell Market.
Say that twice.
Okay, real quick here.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be long. I only have a verbal quote on 2 porta potties that I would like to have permanently placed, semi-permanently placed in the park for the months of May through September. The reason semi-permanent is a better option is because it's half the price. Still very, very, very pricey, but I understand that it's a service that I should probably do with the loss of Casey's, and our bathrooms are a little bit of a jaunt to the east of the park. So I'm asking what the city would need from me to have this, have the 2 porta potties semi-permanently placed between the months of May through September.
Where would you, where would they be placed?
I was thinking west, not necessarily up against the rodeo fence, because of course you can't really do that, but closer to the road on, maybe over by Army Post. somewhere in that area, away from the market path, away from, but closer than our bathrooms right now.
The, in the past, I don't know, what any current arrangements, but in the past, we've had, at least 8 to 10 porta potties by, the wood playground equipment, and immediately south of that, in half of them inside the fence and half of them outside the fence. So
Yeah, okay, I think I know where you're at. Yep.
this wood playground equipment.
Yep.
And the fence generally is an extension here and then down. And so we'd have 4 or 5 porta potties inside the fence, 4 or 5 outside for the rodeo.
Yep.
And in that general area is where you were thinking about
Yeah.
putting 2.
Yep.
If they are there on the Sunday after the first Friday in August, let me get that straight.
Yeah.
Then I presume that you wouldn't be putting ribbons around it so that they can't be used.
My thought is to call them and say, hey, can you pick them up this weekend and bring them back? I know that there will be an additional fee for that.
Or it could just leave them there as a donation to any event going on as a goodwill offering.
And when is that event, Steve?
I think it's the first Sunday after the Sunday after the first.
Saffia, I like it.
Yeah, so Sunday
Sunday
after
After the first Friday in August.
We're relabeling that event now.
The Saffy.
Saffia.
Because if there were another event that weekend, then that would just be 2 less that
That they would, yeah.
they wouldn't have to,
Well, I tell
order.
you what.
and it would make it a little bit easier to coordinate, I would think.
Well, if another event wouldn't want my event down there, why would I have any goodwill offering for them to use my porta potties?
Because you're a better person.
You are correct, Steve. Steven, you are correct.
Would those interfere at all with the,
And if you face them toward the rodeo ground, then if there is a barrel racing or something else, then that would be available for them also.
It would be.
would that interfere with the disc golf course at all, right there?
No, because
Probably if I played disc golf, it probably would.
Get a lot of
It
bounds.
would be in the porta potty.
the tee is here and the cup is up there, and it just kind of slides right through here. So if they are lined up outside what the fence would be normally for the beer garden, then
Should be fine.
it wouldn't be a problem.
And I do have my concerns. I think the main concern is actually getting them there. We can talk about Saffia some other time, I guess. I do have concerns. I have concerns on vandalism. I have concerns on
Flooding.
does that happen? I will sign a waiver for with them. I'll add it to my insurance. I'll do all sorts of fun things. They do have an option where they are staked into the ground, or because it's a semi-permanent type thing, they are actually put into the ground. Now, I don't know if this is just like a tent stake, you know, that goes into the ground on all four corners, or if this is a,
I think it's those screw-in anchors, because I've seen
I
some.
think anything that's put down there is going to have to be removed if there's flooding.
yeah.
Because otherwise it would be contamination. So, yes, you may have to look at staking down, but then you probably also have to be put on some skid so that Tony would be able to go down there, pick them up, and move them if the flood water comes.
Yeah.
And here's your other thing too. I think they have a hole on them in which you could put a padlock on so they could only be used.
Yes, they will be locked. I will be unlocking them every Sunday, and the gentleman who comes down and services them on Monday morning will also be able to get in, but we're the only people that can get in. They are locked.
They'll be locked the rest of the
Yeah.
time.
Unless there's an event down there, I'm assuming that we, like if there was a barrel raising event on a Saturday or
Sure.
you're looking.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool. You got it all figured out, man.
Well, I try. Yeah, it's organized chaos. Let's just put it that way. I think it is important to do so because it is quite the jaunt for my older crowd to get up to the bathrooms. I've got some great, got the great older crowd. I've got wheelchairs sometimes. I've got to get them down there. So that's why I'm here. I don't know how to go about it, but
The other place that they're usually put is right south of the
Church stand.
church stand, underneath the, close to the trees that are there.
Yeah.
So, they're,
Not
I know that you have, some vendors, that would set up on the
Yeah.
south side of the church stand.
Yeah.
And you just, have it far enough away that it would not interfere with it. And that would be, the other location, which would be, typical for other events.
And there, so one side you're getting the rodeo crowd, the other side you're getting the Sunday softball crowd as well.
True.
yeah.
And either one is going to be relatively easy to get to move them if there is a flood event. And we haven't had one for the last 3 years.
Better knock on some wood, yes.
Do it, right?
Knock on laminate.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I saw this on the agenda and permanent porta potties. It seemed weird. So I was talking to another guy. City of Ankeny actually does this at a city level. They have found it to be more cost effective for some of their parks than to actually build a restroom.
Sure.
And so they actually have, I got on Google and took a photo of it. They actually have pads and installations with fence around them where they put their permanent
neat.
porta potties. So that's, I don't know if there's a stake down part of that or not.
Well, it would make it very difficult to tip over.
Makes it a little bit harder to tip over, yeah.
Yes.
So that's what the city of Ankeny does
That's my
as a
concern.
rule on some of their parks. That's just how they provide bathroom service.
So it's possible down the
For
road.
what it's worth.
We should,
Could be.
we should ask Parks and Open Space Committee to take a look at that.
Yeah.
And it
I
may,
sent you that photo.
it
just
may
Thank you
be
very much.
a good option.
if they're going there every year.
Because it's used for the rodeo, it's used for Sunday softball. And so having a couple down there may be what the city should be looking at.
So I hear a motion on that.
The request is we have discussion and action on a permanent porta potty for the Maxwell Market.
Well, the problem is I don't have anything like for you to look at, you know what I mean? Like a contract with said vendor, I don't have pictures, I don't have,
Well, I think as a council, we've come up with a few concerns and ideas. And is this something that we can act on at the next meeting? Or is it too late?
I think I would have to, I may be able to get, we'll have the market regardless of if we have porta potties or not, but it would be nice to have it on May 1st.
Well,
Do
where
we-
are we gonna be with our woodlawn? Will that be at this month potentially? We have a second meeting this month.
As far as for the public meeting?
Yeah.
It'll probably be May.
Into May.
I think it'll be into May.
Okay.
We could always improve it.
And the issue is you get a better price for a long-term than a short-term.
If you have them come pick them up weekly, it doubles, the price doubles. So if I had them down there and said vendor came down and serviced them on the spot and was just able to leave without taking the porta potty with them, it's half of what it would be for them to pick up and deliver every single week. I'm happy we can approve with some contingencies, more than one. We can, I like to the west of the big beautiful bin. I like to the west of there. Yeah, the sunshine's gonna cook it, I think, but yep, to the west of the bin, there's gonna be two of them. Will face the doors to the west or east, I think west, so they're a little more privacy, I guess, but, and then what else would you need? Of course, I will make sure they're staked. I will make sure they're locked. I will make sure that I'm saying the correct forms with them, blah, blah, blah. But I just basically.
Yeah, we just need to know how Tony's gonna handle it in a flood situation. If they're staked, then, will he be able to, move them quickly in a flooding situation?
And then where will he move them?
Oh, he'll just move them up to the,
Freedom Rock area.
Trotter.
up
Get 'em out.
to the city shed,
Okay.
the shitty shed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And then I.
That's what they are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's a good one. I would make sure that they know that too, just in case the flooding event happens Sunday afternoon. So when Monday comes around, they go down there like, where did our shitters go?
Where did the porta potties go?
They know that, and then they can.
Okay.
Yeah, just on the
Yeah.
city, would move them if there's a flooding event.
So I'm thinking, can they be staked on top of pallets? Is that how Tony would get underneath of them?
Well, I think they're already on.
Or are they on a platform? Oh.
They
I think the
have,
plastic piece.
that's how they pick them up and move them.
great.
They have
It's
runners.
already there.
So we can grant the market action to do that then, can't we, tonight?
With the contingency of all.
Was that a motion? Is
I will
what
make
you
that motion.
did? Okay, motion by Doug. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Steve. Discussion. Hearing none. Again, forgot where I left off. So Doug,
Yes.
Steve,
yes,
Lauren,
Yes.
Megan. Okay. Moving on, item 8K, discussion action on appointment of open position on Parks and Open Spaces. I believe we have,
and Mike would like to be reappointed.
Yep.
So moved.
moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none. Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes,
Lauren,
Yes.
Perfect. Discussion action on citywide garage sales. In front of you do see the tentative welcome to the citywide garage sales for June 4th, 2022 from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Does this look good?
Move approval.
Moved approval by Steve,
Second.
second by Doug. Discussion. Hearing none. Lauren,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes,
Doug,
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Perfect. Discussion and action on nuisance property. In front of you, you do have lists of properties.
And is this a list that's compiled for everybody except for me? Because I turned mine in late.
I also turned mine in.
No, the one with the put purple in one.
Yep.
That one was actually the original Steve's and Doug's,
Okay.
I think. Yeah. So some of those Steve has updated. Lauren's is in here too. Megan, I'm not sure you have these.
I don't have any properties in my area that need it.
Well, I meant these sheets that show nuisance.
So, what discussion do you guys have? My thing would be, as soon as we go over this, we start the letter. And go from there.
We used to have a process that the council adopted years ago. 2018, I think, was the last time it was done. Is that still our process?
I don't know.
I think I sent that to everybody by email today.
Let me find out
It
here.
would be a PDF attachment.
Didn't send it to me.
I didn't send it to you. Well, maybe I didn't send it to everybody then.
No, that's just
No. Well, yeah, computers make things so much faster. Violations. There's violations.
We've obviously sent out letters before. I mean, this is not your first rodeo, right?
right.
Do most of the nuisance property title holders listen to the letter? Kind of clean up their area and,
I think what has happened in the past is they cleaned it up and then just moved it into their backyard.
and that leads me to my next, one of my problems is there something in our ordinance that says, keep the front clean, move all the stuff to the back and put up a privacy fence?
I think it says it can't be visible from the road. Is that, am I saying that correct? Where's my buttons? It's 51.
Because nowhere in this one, the 5101 definition of junk or junk vehicle,
$245.
I couldn't find anything, but that doesn't mean anything.
So here, when we talk about nuisance abatement, it is whenever an authorized municipal officer finds that a nuisance exists, such officer has the authority to determine on a case-by-case basis whether to utilize the nuisance abatement procedure described in 5006, which says the contents notice to the property owner. That's step one. The notice shall abate shall contain the description of the nuisance, location of the nuisance, acts necessary to abate, reasonable time, and assessment of city costs, if applicable. It may be in a form of an ordinance or sent by certified mail to the property owner. Then we can request a hearing. If the person notified to abate a nuisance or condition neglects or fails to abate as directed, the city may perform the required action to abate, keeping an accurate account of the expenses incurred. The itemized expense account shall be filed with the clerk, who shall pay such expenses on behalf of the city. Then it goes to the collection of costs, then the installment payment of cost abatement, and then any person failing to abate or remove the same within reasonable time required and specified in the notice to abate and the violation of this code of ordinances.
Deb, do you, and you don't have to pull it up now, have a copy of the letter that is usually sent out to a nuisance property?
Yeah,
As far as accumulation of junk, this is what you're wanting maybe? The accumulation of junk, refuse, trash, paper, cardboard, building materials, scrap lumber, inoperable or currently unlicensed vehicles or trailers, unused vehicle or machine parts or components, unused or unusable equipment, fixtures or appliances, unsightly or broken furniture, bicycles or toys in the yard area, and any and all other similar items to the extent that the overall appearance is unreasonably offensive to the senses of the average reasonable citizen, or to the extent that the overall appearance of the premises may tend to adversely impact the economic fair market value of other properties in the immediate vicinity. So this tells me that there is not something that says from the roadway.
For some reason, that is what has happened
Yes.
on Maxwell Street, 5th and 6th, and part of Maine. For some reason, they've moved the things or the personal property from the front to the back and put up a fence so we visually can't see it, making it difficult for us to inspect the area.
Yeah, because I'd like to see that letter again, because maybe, I think some of the folks, and I get it's probably full of legal jargon that our lawyer put in, which is probably a necessity, but it probably comes off a little harsh, and so people get mad pretty easily.
Sure. That's kind of what I wanted to see it.
So if we look at it, maybe try to revise it before we send the letters out, and let them know, hey, June 4th, we got citywide cleanup. If you need help, we'll find help and because essentially, I mean, we want, especially if this development goes through, we really want our place to look nice, and potentially attract families and commercial businesses as well.
Mhm.
So,
I think with this project, we don't know their story. We don't
Right.
know what happened if they don't have the physical capability of getting it. We also, as a city council, have a job to do.
Yep.
So I think, yes, part of the letter could be softer, saying, hey, let us help you. If you need something, please, we can work something out or whatever, but also we need to stick to a time, because you're right. If we continue to move on with the vision of Maxwell, if we continue to move on with Rock Creek, commercial development, anything north of town, we can't forget about the heart of us inside here. So I think we do need to move forward on this project.
and it's been, I think this has probably been one of the most scrutinized parts in the last, since I've things that we as a city do. And we've sent nuisance letters, and most of the time they don't really help, because they pick it up, like I said, they move it, and then you're the planning board.
Yeah, doesn't fix it.
Well, if that's the case, that's the whole circle of the issue, I think, in the last 4 or 5 years. You're just moving the stuff around. Take care.
I think we have different classes of individuals. Certainly, class that you're talking about, kinds of benefits. I think there are many, many more that you tell them that they got some broken toys or some vehicles in their yard that are considered to be junk, and you have to get rid of them. Neighbor, I looked at the complaint list that we had in 2018, and there were only a few of them that are still being complained about today. Most of them are no longer an issue. So those that are a endemic problem are ones that we just need to talk to the attorney and see if there's
One
a
was
solution.
the first letter we sent, the second one was the second letter we
Second
sent.
First and second letter.
And generally, the first letter is a friendly letter, but you still have to have in the friendly letter certain basic information.
And the time.
At a time.
Yes.
Yep. And I would just ask the council to revise that for this specific timeline, knowing that citywide cleanup is coming up.
June 4th.
Is that citywide thing, or is that garage sale?
That's one.
Because I just thought that too. Is it
May
May,
something.
May
Seven.
May 7th,
7th.
well, Mother's Day Saturday.
Month away.
Am I allowed to give the second letter? Or-
Does it say 30 days?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be the second one. So,
Softball and hardball.
That's what I mean about my emotions. My emotions when I'm looking at these properties. I want to go up and knock on the door and go, hey Steve, can I help you? Can I, that was an example. Can we,
Use all the help.
well,
We weren't gonna say that,
my
Steve, on
emotions
camera.
are like, okay, Lauren, you don't know the other side of the story. These people, you have no idea what the story is. You have no idea what is happening. But the other side of me is, it's time to, these properties have sat like this, whether it's in the front, whether it's in the back, these cars have sat there, this junk has sat there. I think it's time to not play the soft game, push just a tad bit harder.
And
How we do that, that's past my brain.
I think you're on the right track as far as knocking on doors and saying, what can we do to help you? Because I know,
Yeah,
for instance, like my grandparents, you know,
Sure.
they have junk. They've always had junk. It's gotten a little better, but they still seem to be accumulating more and more stuff.
Sure.
But in their case, you know, they can't really do it themselves.
that's what I mean.
And so we say, hey, we got a guy that can pick up junk vehicles. We got a guy that can pick up junk campers. Are you willing to let us do that for you and see what we can come up with? I think that would go a long way, and that to me that says a lot about this council. Instead of hiding behind a letter, we can.
I don't want to do that. There's no way.
And we have the help, right? I mean, Joe said that he's more than willing to help. And at our last meeting, we got.
He's always walking around. He knows every property. I would take him and take him with me.
Yeah.
Do I want to play that game forever? No. I'm knocking on your door one time.
Yep.
I'm going to offer my help, and I'm going to say, is there something that the city can, we're your council, we're here to help.
Yep.
But after that, it's clean it up, move forward, that sort of thing. Is it necessary for 1 and 2 letters to be sent out, or can it be all on one letter?
We sent one out, gave them 30 days to clean up.
Okay,
The second one went out 30 days later if they hadn't cleaned up. If they had cleaned up, we sent out a thank you note.
okay. Yeah, I did another second round this weekend prior to when I started this project, just this past weekend. And 2 of my properties made a huge difference. You know, weather's getting nicer. People are getting outside. They're starting to go, oh, geez, you know, let's get my flower beds cleaned out. Let's clean up some of this trash. Let's clean up the flipped over trampoline. I had properties that cleaned up and made huge strides. So that was good to see.
I know I had, I suppose I didn't hear from people, but I heard that I had some complaints about my tipped over playground in my backyard. And so I took it apart and took it out this weekend because it was nice. So,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like now I know, just living in the area of my inspection area. I don't know if is that how it all went? Is that how all I don't know if that's how it was, but just knowing where I live and the areas that I was assigned to, I know most of these properties are not going to accept the knock on the door. They're going to look at this letter and go, psh, nope, I'm not doing it.
so
That's my issue is.
So we'll I think we still send a nice letter first.
Yes.
We put in a flyer saying if you need help, we have this citywide cleanup day on this day. Let us know if you need help and we can see what we can do for you.
Now, if they say, yeah, we're willing to accept your help, what can we do? I'm sure there's a liability issue somewhere. We just show up with a truck and my husband shows up and we throw stuff in the back of the.
I think it all depends on what they have as junk.
Okay.
In which case, it's possible we can get them numbers for people that pick up junk vehicles for free and say, call them up, or I'm here with you now. Do you want me to call them and have you talk to them?
Yeah.
Let's see what we can come up with. The other thing, I think if we market the citywide cleanup day a little better than I have done in the past, I think we may get a little bit more traction than what
Yeah.
we have. I just don't know what that means when we have 3 bins out there, how fast that's gonna fill up with. Because I think there's been a number of years that we've had a few people from out of town utilize that as well.
Really?
Very different.
$20 is $20.
He's not wrong.
Well, he's not wrong. You're not wrong, Steve.
So,
Usually the ones that are coming in from out of town are closely related to somebody in town. So they
Sure.
bring the in-town person with them so they don't look so bad.
yeah.
We all know where it came from.
Yeah. So my suggestion on this action would be, as I already stated, to the list that we have right now, to send up the nice letter with a nice flyer saying that we have citywide cleanup on this date, and if you need any help, let us know. We can see what we can come up with. That would be
A
my
couple of the
suggestion.
properties that I have on my list, you can pick up everything and put it in the back of the pickup. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty minor,
Small stuff, yeah.
and it's just probably in a corner and nobody looks at it.
Yep.
Well, once you bring it to their attention, then it's gonna get cleaned up without any problem. I think that works.
Do I have just a bigger, I don't know how to explain my area, I guess, but I do have a lot of junk vehicles. I do have a lot of structure issues. I do have those bigger issues. They're not just trash in the corner, which, yeah, I have trash in the corner, for God's sakes. I need to clean out my garage corner, you know.
I would suggest do something like Steve did. Put the property address, the issue. I think we could probably figure out the ordinances that it pertains to. So we probably could leave that out since you're pretty fresh on it.
It wasn't, I think it's
Is this
included. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah.
I told Steve, I'm not very good at maps, so it could be down here from 512 to 599 Main Street. Some of those may not be mine, but
Do you have pictures as well?
yeah.
Oh, perfect. Oh, yes. Yeah, because these pictures will be tied to the first letter,
Letter.
correct?
Should be setting up a case file for each address. And in the case file, you have what the violation is, the section of the ordinance that's violating, who the property owner is, or the occupant. Just basic information, because if it does end up having to go to the attorney, and all that anyway.
And the other thing with sending these letters all out at once, it shows that we're not picking on
We're
anybody.
consistent.
We're being
Right.
consistent.
Right.
Um,
And that's another
important.
thing with the letters. Are those sent certified? Because
yes.
They
It's stated in the ordinance that they were, or
okay.
that they could be.
If you're doing, there's two ways to enforce this. One is through civil citation, and the other is the nuisance. And the processes are slightly different. The nuisance process is more legalistic. The civil citation is more like a ticket. But it could be done either way.
In the past, we've sent the first ones out regular mail.
Okay.
Because most of the people will go ahead and clean up their areas. The second one we've sent out certified so that we know they get them.
In what, what do we do in regards to nuisance versus like a condemnation like this? If there's a house that completely looks like it's unlivable, and I mean that's a big one as well. I mean, I don't want us to become the bad guys and say, sorry about your luck. You know?
Not livable anymore. Yeah.
But we're also here for the health and safety of our townspeople as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not only that, but for our fire department and EMS, what happens if we get called to an EMS call there and can't get in?
Mhm.
Or there's a fire and now they're trapped because their house is not livable. You know what I mean? We'll make waves, that's for sure. It's going to happen. But
If we're doing it uniformly, I think that's the big key.
You know, I'm the one that gets hurt to hear all this though. So you guys are out in the clear.
I
Deb,
hear everything
that's
you
what
do.
I mean about I am willing to knock on people's doors and make conversations so that you don't have to take all the brunt of it, because this is a big project. This is a big deal. We are going to hurt feelings. We are going to make people mad, but
I've been through it twice already, so I've gotten a tough skin.
That's what I'd like to hear.
Besides, I just told him to go talk to Jameson.
Then I hear somebody in the background say, but I think they're unarmed.
oh my God.
Oh my.
Wouldn't be the first time. So, what,
So do we need motions on actually sending out letters, or what do we need
Yeah.
tonight?
so my suggestion, take it or leave it, is what I said earlier, where we sent out the nice letter with the city cleanup flyer that says that if you need help, contact City Hall. We can take notes of that, and then that day, or even before that, we can figure out what we need to do to help them out.
It used to be the process that if there was a violation and the mayor reviewed the violation and agreed there was a violation, then the letter was sent out. It didn't wait for council meetings. The letter was sent out, and then the council was advised at their next regular meeting. These are the letters that went out. Because otherwise, it just takes months and months.
Yeah.
And if the mayor, I have 10 on my list. And you look at the photo and you say, well, yeah, it's not that big a deal. It's not worth sending a letter out. Maybe just go and knock on their door. Instead, the mayor is quite capable of making those decisions. If it's a violation, you send a letter out, send a letter. So I don't think we need to have a motion to do what needs to be done.
Well, tell you, we will do what I just said.
That's fine.
You got
That's
it.
a good plan.
Good plan.
Okay. Any other discussion on that item before we go all the way back up to the top?
There was one property at Broad and Maxwell Street that has been a concern for a number of times. And I had Jody with me when we looked at all this. And her opinion was
You want me to pull it up on Beacon?
that, no, that's fine. Her opinion was that, it may be a little cluttered, but there's not anything that really came up to a level of violation. And I think it's a lot more than just a little cluttered, but this is why having somebody else take a look at these. I'm not sure we have standardized by me looking at my area and Lauren looking at her area, Doug looking at his area. Because what I think may be a problem, Lauren may not think is a problem. So having the mayor go out and take a look before anyone is contacted or any letters go out would certainly make me feel better that we are getting a level of standardization.
For sure. What I will do in that case is let me take these photos and your guys' notes, and I will take a look at them. And if I don't think it's a nuisance yet, contact the property owners and say, what's up? What can I help with? And go from there.
I'll share with all the council members and the mayor and clerk what I had from notes back as to what the procedure was in the past, and it has some miscellaneous information in it, so 8-page document. And we should, if we're not comfortable with that process, we should, as a council, amend it so we have 2022 process.
Okay. Perfect. Anything else? Okay, hearing none, we're going to go right back at the top to 6B. Run through these quick unless there's something that stands out to you. The fire report, 11 calls with 74 people. It's a big showing there. It's pretty good. No injuries or accidents, no maintenance, no special events, no future plans, nothing the city needs to do anything for Tony on the fire side. Perfect. Hearing none, we'll move on to EMS report. 6 calls out for Maxwell, responded to 2. Average EMS per call, 1 to 2. Fire person assist 1. Cambridge to Maxwell 4. EMS meeting training attendance, there were 7. Monthly truck check was completed. Monthly CQI was completed by Story Medical. Vehicle maintenance being done, annual service for 863. Anything needed from the city council? No. As of April 1st, Cambridge will be put on the 2nd page instead of the 1st page. After this month trial, we will be looking at trying to discontinue the agreement between Maxwell EMS and Cambridge Fire Department. Is there anything that Scott needs from the EMS side? Hearing none, we'll move on to the library. Looks like on here, they had 236 books checked out, 73 movies, 240 in attendance, 96 bridges. They have 42 kids attending 2 early out movies. 17 kids attending the STEM program. Spring party had 26 in attendance. They have a free seat swap going on right now as well. Upcoming events, they're continuing to learn for the board to operate the best it can. Astronomy for the family, April 7th, 5 to 7. Babysitting basics, April 15th, 8 to 3. gardening best practices April 30th, 10 to 11:30, and working on more programming for all ages. They wanted to say thank you to Ken and Lauren for attending the board meeting. Anything for the library board? Lauren, is there anything that you? Nope. Perfect. All right. Moving on to public works. Streets, they've gotten the price to seal coat streets, working on prices to asphalt some instead. Parks will look at opening restrooms next week. We want to know, do we want to add a little bit more lime to the 2 ball diamonds? 3 ash trees have been taken down south of the church stand. We've pumped about 1.8 million gallons of water, sold about 1.1 million gallons of water. Found 2 leaking service lines, both have been fixed. Sewer, we pumped 2 million gallons. Need to start thinking about when to have the open house for the sewer lagoons. Thoughts on adding more lime to the ball diamonds? We have done it in the past. I think we brought in lime for the ball diamond last year to Legion Field, if I remember correctly.
Put it in both fields.
We put it in both fields. Do we want Tony to get quotes for those and see if we actually need those or not?
Sure.
Okay. Quotes.
I would imagine the cost is a little different than the last time that we
Yeah,
all did it, and I would assume it's a bit different, but
sure. Okay, anything for Tony on the public works side?
When do we have to act on the road proposals? I mean, they're not on the agenda to act on tonight. So, but it looks like they were submitted March 18th. And April 4th.
And he's getting some price on the asphalt as well.
It's
So
in there,
it is in there.
in roads.
Oh.
We got that late today.
Looks like $50,000 for the asphalt. And which of these projects would we? Well, you wouldn't do second if you did the asphalt.
The ones he has stars is the ones that are at the asphalt.
Well, the ones he has stars would be not done as seal coat because it is being done as asphalt, right?
Right. If you guys go that way.
So, $9,000 worth of seal coat would be eliminated for $50,000 worth of $60,000 worth of asphalt.
There's one more on the next page too, Steve.
And then one more on the next page.
It's starred.
Oh, okay. So another 4,000. And this is all to be done before June 30th?
I think you said they're coming in May, in the last meeting.
So it'd be the current fiscal year. And as far as
Budget goes?
cash goes, we have enough cash in the fund to do the work. As far as the budget goes,
We're at 56% of roads, bridges, and sidewalks totals right now, which leaves us with 51,925.33.
Well, except, yeah, there's also salaries in there.
Oh,
Salaries, electricity.
But we're at 59% of the way through the year on public works. And that's the number that we have to hit from a budget perspective, right, Deb?
Yeah,
And 75% through the year. So there's 15% slack in there. So that's only what, $20,000. But should we be asphalting Second Street? There's probably no question. Yeah, it needs to be asphalted instead of with a good map. That's one of our major roads in and out of town.
he picked Second Street because it was asphalted last time we fixed it. And it's now getting to the point where it needs to be redone.
Yep.
is that from the bridge to Trotter? Or is it all of Second Street?
All of Second Street.
Yeah, I can't tell from the photo the other piece. Where's this other piece at?
The short piece,
Yeah,
it's 5th Street from Main to Baldwin.
5th Street?
Which is S27.
Oh.
No.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah. Main's here, Baldwin's over there.
What street is that again?
5th Street from Main to
5th Street from
Okay.
Main to Baldwin, and that's not part of,
The end of it there at Baldwin is, but not too far up it, no.
and so making sure that's done well is a good idea. This is definitely a good idea, $60,000. And then the question is, how long do we have to make a decision on it? Why isn't Tony here to help us?
I'll ask him.
Are we gonna have to have an answer before our next meeting?
Okay. I'll ask him.
What does the council think about doing the full asphalt on Second and that little stretch of Fifth?
I don't think we could do what is the other one? The chip seal or
Seal, yeah,
Seal
seal
coat.
seal
coat.
coat? I think those are, like you said, are high traffic areas. So we're putting lipstick on a pig until it goes to the slaughterhouse.
What they have is 4, 5, 25, 35, 38, 39, 44, 40, about $44,000 worth of seal coat. and $60,000 worth of asphalt, which is more than what we would normally spend. And who are the council people that are on the roads committee? Did anybody bring that with them?
I think,
I think I am.
There it is. Doug and Meg.
There you make
okay.
This would be a recommendation from them. Do we have the cash? Yes, we have the cash. But it would take a budget amendment. We're going to be doing a budget amendment anyway. So.
Which the budget amendment has to be in by when?
31st of May.
31st of May. Okay.
So if we sign these contracts, will we be paying it before June 30th? That'd be one question. Because if it's before June 30th, then it's this fiscal year. If it's after June 30th, if we write the check after June 30th, then it's next fiscal year. We do not have it in next fiscal year's budget, but we have the cash. And like you said earlier tonight, there's going to be less pressure on our cash. And so does it make sense to do the asphalt and then some, if not all, of the seal coat? And that would be a recommendation from Megan and Doug.
No, Megan and Lauren.
Megan and Lauren.
Oh, Megan and Lauren. Lucky you.
Yeah.
And it may be. We take a look at them and in the past, we've done the worst ones and let some of the others go. But that's, that's what you sit down with Tony and you say, okay, what do we absolutely have to do? Then if we need to have a meeting, call a special meeting in order to approve this, then let us know, right?
You want to call him tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we can figure out what we need to do on our side. Just adding to your list of things to do.
It's fine.
Fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Okay. Anything else for Tony on Public Works before we move on? It's almost 10 o'clock. I can't believe it. And this isn't even a budget meeting.
All right.
Every time you put seal coat on, the road gets about that much higher.
Mhm.
When you put a mat on, it gets that much higher in the middle.
Mhm.
So that's great until the road is higher than the adjacent property and acts like a dam, and you don't get water flowing. Then you got to do other things.
Look at the northeast side of the school if you want to find an area where it's that way.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay. Moving on to city clerk, budget has been completed for another year. The FEMA wind disaster looks like we've been, the federal portion was received on the 23rd for $46,258.14. Debris cleanup has been submitted for review on the 28th. Emergency donated resources is the next area to start working on, as well as management costs with that. They are working on the budget amendments as well. You'll see the treasurer's report as well as the budget report, which we've been going in and out of all meeting. Questions, comments, concerns for city clerks?
Well, we still are $103,000, $104,000 in the hole on the wastewater treatment facility. And we're gonna get that much money.
So I checked with the Simmering Quarry. It is not on the construction side. They have, by their records, I think they were just like $600 or $700 that they hadn't reimbursed yet. Deb, did you happen to look to see if it was our engineering fees had been submitted
Yeah, he never received one of my emails.
for our engineering fees?
Yeah,
Okay, so does that explain the?
there was like 6 of them on there,
Okay,
so that could be close to what.
so that'd be my guess as to what
Okay.
it is. I don't
So
have.
we're coming close.
Yes, and that is reimbursable, and so as soon as he gets it, he should get that disbursement to you. Let me know if you don't hear from him, Deb.
What about on the sewage disposal total? It's negative 662,000.
Are you looking at?
Back page. Very, very back page.
Oh, you're talking about the budget. I was
Yeah.
looking at the
That's
pay.
because
Sorry.
you guys didn't budget enough
Oh.
for, so we
Yeah.
need to,
I was looking at the wrong thing, guys.
Yeah,
Should have been looking at, it's 10
it's
o'clock.
a negative 727,000 because we really didn't budget all of the expenditure, construction expenditure
Gotcha.
in this year.
Mhm.
It was, but a lot of it was budgeted the previous year and not
Gotcha.
spent. So
Okay. Perfect. What else? Anything else for the clerks?
Yep.
Hearing none, parks and open spaces. I've lost that sheet if there was one.
there wasn't any.
Otherwise, again, the restaurant will be open next week. Then obviously the 2 ball diamonds and then the 3 ash trees were taken down. So
Don't we have to reappoint Mike Gustafson?
we already did that.
We did that.
Okay, I missed that one, sorry.
That was at about 8 o'clock. So,
Oh, that was the earlier, okay, yes, we did, sure did.
all right. So let's start with council mayor report. Steve, what do you got?
I have a resolution that we can put on the next meeting. Thought it was going to be on this meeting, but I didn't get it to report in time. You should have a copy in your packet. All it does is say that we're not going to give the 100% over 5 years to any house that is built on land which conflicts with our plans. And that is something that the urban renewal plan allows us to do, but by having it as a resolution, it makes it a policy that the people know on the front end, so that they don't like go and buy 13 acres expecting to get 5-year tax, 100% tax abatement. So take a look at the resolution, and it'll be on the agenda next month, and could be voted down or up.
And the other thing, again, we'll circle back to that development. It would be stupid of a city to have 5-year tax abatement as well as a TIF district, because that would mean that you wouldn't get any TIF money out.
Right.
Yeah, the tax abatement automatically does not apply if there's a TIF district. So if it's a TIF district, then tax abatement does not apply.
And if you look at that resolution, I looked at it briefly, and if I remember correctly, it specifies real estate or housing, not commercial.
This one just deals with any development on land which is not platted and which conflicts with
The urban,
our urban
you know,
renewal plan.
Steve and I had a conversation that several weeks ago. My thought is, so we have the potential of housing coming in, but I think we also really need to consider commercial development as well. And so with that, maybe we get rid of the
5-year, 100% tax abatement for housing, but not commercial. Because that could bring in some potential commercial buildings.
Nice, enticing.
So,
Would that cover Casey's?
So,
If they increase the value.
yeah, which something that's going to be released this week, hopefully. It wouldn't necessarily, I mean, it would definitely increase the value from what it is right now.
Yeah, but that's not the value
Right.
that you increase
Right.
it from.
Right. So it wouldn't,
I was just asking a question.
You have to increase the value by,
20%.
yeah, a certain percentage. And then that is what you get the 100% abatement on.
I got you.
So the hope eventually is to keep that open for commercial, in my eyes.
Now, what I provided to Jameson was a potential amendment to the urban renewal plan. And he was going to run it by Amy. And if she says, yeah, this looks like it works, then we can hold a hearing, amend the urban renewal plan, and which clarifies that residential, I think I still have a small
Could have.
percentage for residential and 100% for commercial.
Keep in mind as well, that tax abatement expires June 30th, 23. So if that's something that
A year from now.
you guys want to continue to go specifically for commercial, you're gonna have to look into renewing that at some point here. Probably should look at it in the near future and start that process. So what else you got, Steve?
That's it.
Lauren?
Unfortunately, I know it's 10 o'clock, but I feel like this needs to be touched on just real quick. I want to swing back to the vehicle that was parked on 217 Baldwin Street. The letter was sent out by us on March 2nd. The letter went through the Des Moines Postal Service and unfortunately did not get to the property owner, and by property owner I mean house, until March 7th, which was the date of our meeting, Monday night. So they received the letter, the homeowner received the letter on March 7th, the same day that we requested the sheriff go down, take a look, put a tag on it, anything like that. And I feel as if the property owner, of the truck owner, did not have ample time to actually come up with a plan or remedy the situation. So my thoughts are,
The truck was moved that night before the police even got there.
perfect. I didn't even know that, Megan. I've been trying to swing by and talk to the young man, and I haven't been able to do that. But I'm wondering if the letters could be sent certified, so when we know when the property owner receives the letter, or can we send the letter to the actual owner of said property and not the homeowner? It could have been sent to the, legally, I don't know how
sent
that
it to
works.
Bob Pritchard because he's the owner of the property. I have no clue who the renter is.
Okay.
Exactly.
Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that back up. I think
And I think there was a huge miscommunication on that as well, because I think Lauren and I got a whole bunch of phone calls that.
and
the following
Ken,
day.
and there was a lot of miscommunication. I think the whole thing was misstrued.
Yeah.
It's fine, but I think maybe we just need to address it for the concerned citizens that reached out to us.
What's the miscommunication?
The
vehicle was encroaching on public property. It was in a junk condition because it was torn apart. And
It was not torn apart. It was absolutely not torn apart.
It was,
there's missing wheels. And that defines junk.
At one time, was not.
Right.
Well, all the police had to do is take a look at it and
Tires
say that it's in
reported.
good condition and you had to move it.
I think the concern, go ahead, Megan.
No, I'm done. It was moved before the police got there. All it would have taken was a knock at the door from somebody other than the police to get it moved. The vehicle at one time, yes, did not have tires. They were waiting on those tires because the specific tires it took, they did not have in stock. And in case we're not informed, there is a shipping crisis of getting supplies everywhere. So
Oh.
that is why the truck was on jacks at one time. It was not at the time of our meeting.
And why was it on jacks on city property?
Well, I think that's the other question.
Because there is limited parking at the red pole.
That's
And
not
they
our
have
problem.
3 people. I understand that it was moved, and it moved every single day.
And I think too, that I talked to the renter, I must have been that night or maybe
The day after.
The day
The
after.
day after our meeting is when
And we-
everything,
And we talked it over and everything was fine. And then the tow truck came and that's when everything like fell off the wheels and people thought that we as a city had towed it when it was sitting on, it had moved and sat on the street, but that wasn't the case. It was property owner towed it to get it to a shop so it could get some alignment, so.
and I also think it was presented to us as a problem, an ongoing problem. And I think that instead of, I have made it a promise to myself moving forward to ask more questions, because the owner of the property, the homeowner, received the letter on the same day that we sent a sheriff down there. It appeared that if he had no ample time to move the vehicle off of city property, is it city property? Yes. Did he have permission from a city employee to park it on city property? I mean, there's so many questions that I should have asked. It didn't happen that way. It was presented to us as if it was a problem for like 30 days. And that I want to apologize for not asking more questions. Can we send certified letters instead? Can we make sure that the property owner got it? There's a lot of things that I think were mishandled and I think could be handled differently. That's all I'm saying.
If we send everything certified, we don't have the budget.
Well, and also, if you send it certified, then they just don't accept delivery.
Yeah, I've had that many times.
What you want is to send it with a delivery notice, which means that the postal service puts it in the mailbox and tells you that it's been delivered.
Okay.
Because if the homeowner has to, if you send it certified, that means that the person receiving it has to sign it.
Mhm.
Are you home to sign it?
Correct.
And if you are home and you don't want to receive it, you just refuse delivery. You know?
Yeah.
Certified doesn't solve a lot.
Certified, notice of receipt, something that tells us that the property owner received the letter. That going into this whole nuisance thing, sending out nuisance letters, I think I don't want to run into this again. I mean, that's what I mean. I'm so, nobody did anything wrong. I think instead of, it's unfortunate that the homeowner got the letter and all of this all in one day. They didn't have ample time to fix the situation. So I think it could have just been handled differently. Nor in the letter does it say you have so many, it says handle immediately, which yes, that's great. But anyway, my 2 cents, doesn't matter. Maybe, I hope it does, but I hope next time we go into it with more questions, more information, and ample process. Ample, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Different process, I guess. Oh my God.
Anything else?
No.
No, okay. Megan,
Nothing.
Doug,
Are the tornado sirens, are we working on getting them working?
that was actually my thing, but you stole that from me, Doug.
Sorry.
Tornado sirens, so the one at the school, when Alliant came to put the new transformers in, they ran the wire there, but they never hooked it up. So now it is hooked up. And we're running into another issue, and that is, because this has been a quest on Facebook. And I think the citizens need to know that we as a city or fire department, we don't test those. The people that test those is emergency management from Story County. As you guys are aware, we got new radios 4 years ago. And those sirens were supposed to stay on the old system. Well, there was some update or something with the old system that now when they trigger those sirens, we're not the only town that are having that issue, that they're not working. But they are the county, we were told the county is working on finding a fix. They are also trying to get it so, let's say we have a wind event here, and our train spotters are at the fire station, we can flip a switch at the fire station to get those going as well. Part of that kind of stems from the olden days when we had it used to be fire whistle to let everybody know that there was a fire and that the volunteer firefighters had to come in. But that has kind of gone by the wayside. My big thing, I've been a certified storm spotter for, what year is it, 2022? For 15 years. And my suggestion to folks is, yes, it's great to have those working, but we can't always rely on those. We need to, make sure we have weather radios, as well as your phone should have the option to get emergency alerts. And so we need to make sure that we're utilizing those as well. So
That's all I had.
Okay. So I'll jump off that a little bit as well. I'm thinking we should look into, now that the generator is up and running at the fire station, when we think about the derecho and that big natural disaster and not having power for multiple days. Obviously, we were without cell phones for that long. We were without internet for that long. One thing we should probably look into is switching the fire department off of Windstream and looking at Starlink, because that only takes power. And if we have the generator running, and if that's going to be our true command center when we have natural disasters or anything like that, we're going to want internet so we can communicate, because we couldn't do any of our FEMA surveys on the FEMA app because we couldn't access that. So one thing to look into, $600 is the initial fee because you buy all the equipment, and after that, I believe right now it's $100 a month. It is a 1-year wait list. However, I've heard some people get it faster in a couple months, but it's my goal to have a safe place where we can have citizens come, where we can communicate with emergency management and be functional in a disaster like we had 2 years ago. So I want to put that in the back of your guys' mind to look into as well.
I like it.
Why would we do this for the fire station for events which will maybe only happen once every 5 years, as opposed to do Starlink for City Hall that uses the internet every day?
Oh, certainly. I mean, we can do, I would if you're going to do it, I would recommend doing both.
Because you're going to get much faster speeds than we get now. And you're going to be able to have multiple people. So when we talk about the library taking up bandwidth when we're in the middle of city council meetings, obviously it takes a while to load those maps. It's going to be a lot quicker that way.
Library can, if they stay with Windstream, they stay with Windstream.
Yeah.
You could have the fire station and city hall on the same network without a security issue. Having the library and city hall, because they have public terminals, gets to be a little bit more of a security issue. You have to set up a VPN.
The ultimate goal would be to have the fire station and city hall on the same network. I don't know how that works with Starlink.
Just run a RS-232.
Underground
That, between the two buildings.
Okay.
Whether it's underground or whether it's up over the top.
Yeah.
In a conduit.
Yep.
It's close enough that you would be within Ethernet range.
And then we could put a what do they call those?
A switch.
Yeah, with the web, or we wouldn't even need the web. We just put in a router for here for Wi-Fi, so we could connect our computers as well as the TV, so we could. Yeah, that'd be perfect. And the other thing with that too is you're not going to have, from my understanding, obviously the bank has it, but you're not going to have much downtime even in the winter because it melts the snow off, and we have nothing but great things to say about it at the bank. So I think we should highly look into that. If we did it that way, we'd get rid of one bill because the fire department wouldn't have Windstream anymore. So, but they would still have it for the fire phone in there. So, the other thing I have is there's a light out at the end of Meyer Street on the pole. So I don't know if that is us. I know it's on the east side of the street, I believe. So I don't know if that makes it county property or if we city.
Well, no, east side.
I'm sorry.
The other
East side.
Yeah.
See, I told you I'm not very good at maps.
I do that all the time.
I think their mailbox is county, and that would be the east side, right?
East side is county.
I would call the
East side county.
secondary road department and say the street lights out. Is that something you want to call in? You want us to call it in? Because it would be neither the city nor the county is going to climb the pole and replace it.
For sure.
It's going to be Alliance Energy. They just need to be notified.
It'll be consumers.
Consumers, that's right.
Oh, consumer, okay.
And the last thing I have is I think we need to, I think we're going to end up having the city hall renovation. It's going to go into next year's budget. If we really want to look into that and the possibility of expanding, I know we're starting to pull those funds from what we thought were going to go to the development, but we could have some more disposable funds to either add on and put a meeting room back there that can be shared between the library and city hall as council chambers or whatever. So I wanted to give that plug, and hopefully we'll find out if the development is going to go through. I did engage with Amy again today. She was very excited to learn that ATI is no longer in the picture and that these new folks want to do a tip rebate. So I think
Beneficial.
it's very beneficial because we still get the LMI income
Yeah.
off of it that can be used elsewhere. So I know one big thing that I've been hearing is condos in Maxwell. Not entirely sure where the best place would be to put that, but I'm hearing it. And if that's something that people want, then we can start exploring.
Well, hasn't that always been discussed at the extension where that water tower
North of the water tower on the west side.
on the west side or east and west, that
It was.
north-south street?
Because that's all R2.
Yep.
Um,
So you can have, if they're going to do attached multi-family condos,
Yep.
then it'd have to be rezoned.
Yep.
If you're going to do bi-attached, then you could probably do that in the existing R2 zoning with just a small change to the ordinance.
And I don't know, I guess it's really up to the developer, right, if they want to do that or not. And that, I don't think it's sounding like right now they want to do that. But obviously we can have some more discussion with them as to what they want to do.
What's the difference between a condo and a duplex?
Well, that's just ownership.
Okay,
That
structure would be identical.
Each owns their own half, and the dividing wall between the two might be a little bit more substantial than what you would have in a duplex.
Yeah, okay.
So that's all I have. We should learn.
I wouldn't have any problem with some row house type of condos. I mean, they look just fine. But it would take it'd take an ordinance change and a rezoning.
And I think too, one thing that I was going to bring tonight and didn't because I didn't have time. I think we need to come up with a vision because now with this going on, we need to think about growth and what we want it to look like in town and come up with like a vision board. That way folks either out of the city or in the city know what we're doing, what our clear vision is
Communications.
for folks. So
Mission statement, anything.
Yep.
And I think there's civil engineer students at Iowa State that are extremely eager and answer to do some of that stuff for small towns like us. I think that'd be.
the big thing that has kept coming to my mind, and I've been telling Lauren this quite a bit, but investing now for a better future. I think that's you can already see that with our school, with this project, and hopefully many more projects to come to see what we can come up with. So other than that, I'm truthfully enough and am honest now that I don't have anything else.
Okay, good.
So,
Just kidding.
other than that, I got consent agenda
Move approval of the consent agenda.
moved by Steve,
Second.
second by Lauren. Discussion? Hearing none. Steve?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
I think Megan is out. Megan, are you still on? No. Doug?
Yes.
One item left?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion by Lauren.
Dies for lack of a second.
I'll say.
Come on.
And by
You're
Doug.
killing me.
Hearing none. Lauren?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I will say it was a long meeting, but I think there was a lot of stuff discussed.
We had a lot of good.
A lot of good stuff.
Wes,
Good
thank
job.
you. I
Yeah.
feel real
Thanks for
good about
sticking around,
the
Wes.
information you gave.
Good.